Gaming news today is all about strange developments. Will we see some major changes this week, or is it all smoke and no fire? First, we have rumors that the PlayStation 6 generation may feature three systems, a PlayStation 6, a handheld, and a PlayStation 6 Lite. After Xbox sort of stepped on that rake this gen with the Series S, I'm not sure why PlayStation would opt to take their turn, but we're going to look at the details. Second, Project Helix marketing is beginning already with swag boxes sent to creators, and we're hearing rumors and rumblings about major changes at Xbox. Call of Duty may get removed from Day 1 Game Pass. Fable is internally delayed, but now they're saying things publicly that maybe it's not been delayed, and there's a claim that Xbox is softening up on their profit margins for future Xbox endeavors to have more breathing room. And third, in case you missed it, Rockstar experienced a data breach, a ransom hack, and while there has been no impact on the company or the players, it could impact the marketing in the coming days. So if you are watching this later, hit like, hit subscribe, and you can help us with the big goal. Consider becoming a paying member. For $5 a month, you would get into our members-only Discord, as well as support me directly. So let's just hop into the first story. According to the latest leaks from Moore's Law is Dead, Sony could be looking at a very different strategy for the PlayStation 6 generation. We already had rumors about a handheld, and the low power mode was showing up on more and more games on the PS5, so it seemed very believable. But what reads like a rumor written as satire is that PlayStation may be considering a lower power, more affordable console as well, after hearing that more and more devs were having issues with the Xbox Series S, and it posed significant problems for them this generation, and games coming to Xbox later even lacking features. It seemed a bit strange that PlayStation would usher in the new generation with a similar setup. Even if estimates are correct that there would be a longer season of cross-gen support with the PS5, this just seems backwards. So, what is being claimed? Well, basically there are two SKUs under the codename Canis. One is the handheld, estimated to land somewhere between $500 and $700, and that would be the Canis handheld. Then there is the Canis console, priced somewhere between $350 and $550. Now that would be a PlayStation 6 Lite. Now, the Orion is the full model PlayStation 6, estimated to be as low as $700 or as high as $1,000. Now, the only reason I could see PlayStation deciding on this sort of strategy is that hardware jumps are getting less and less significant, and what will really distinguish the full PS6 from the PS5 Pro or a PS6 Lite would be dedicated hardware for things like ray tracing, path tracing, better versions of PSSR, or the neural arrays that they're working on right now with Project Amethyst. Essentially, it would mean that the defining factor won't be power this time around, but a visual lift, an image quality lift, as it were, through better upscaling, lighting, and reflections. Viewed in the best light, that's what I would hope is going on, that Mark Cerny and the team are thinking that. Like, I kind of trust them. They've made really good calls up to now. But viewed in the worst light, they're trying to have an answer to rising hardware costs, and it could result in a two-tier system that would cause much frustration for people that want the most power out of the next generation. The Series X felt like a lot of wasted potential for many of us who purchased it, and it seemed like the Series S was part of that problem. It attributed to slower shipping times for games to Xbox, and even features sometimes that would just not hit on the Series S. Now, they could also see the potential handheld market as being part of this strategy as well, just sort of part and parcel to their future hardware push. Make a weaker PS6 console. That's not really an issue if you're also targeting handheld saturation, and games would need to run well there. Now, I would be concerned about this, especially if developers are tasked with developing for a handheld or a weaker PS6. I've continued to say that if you give me sort of the general performance of this gen with 60 FPS and solid resolution, just start adding in other really nice things. Better lighting, better reflections, better upscaling. That's what I'm kind of hoping for next gen. I don't think we need to go much beyond the photorealism and the graphical fidelity that we're getting right now. Pushing stronger hardware for higher res up to 8K or something like that, things like that are likely not going to be the focus for next gen. The depreciating return from hardware jumps may be part of the motivation here for both the handheld as well as the rumored PS6 Lite. Now, I, for one, will remain skeptical until PlayStation officially announces this, and then they'll also need to explain why they're doing it. Because for now, I am not a fan of seeing a mistake repeated, especially when Cerny and the team have done such great things with the PS5 Pro and the upgrades to PSSR 2.0. But that's just what I think on the matter, and I will get your thoughts on it in just a moment, because we've got a whole lot of rumblings from the other side of the fence, the green side of the fence. The Xbox rumblings did not really slow down over the weekend. First, Project Helix swag boxes were sent to creators, which obviously draws its own breed of criticism, mockery, and people getting angry. Overall, to me, it just feels like what Xbox does differently than Nintendo and PlayStation. There's a more focus on engaging with fans and having sort of a more social aspect to their marketing. I am not a huge fan of it. I think it leads to some awkward things, but I don't really have a huge problem or criticism for what's going on. Now, this is on the heels of them announcing that the return of FanFest this summer will be happening as well. We're also hearing other rumors in addition to this, so there seems to be some changes afoot at Xbox. Maybe this is because of Asha Sharma, and they feel like they need to win back some goodwill. Jez Corden has indicated there could be some changes that might upset people, though. Xbox is considering removing Call of Duty from day and date on Xbox Game Pass, which could be part of their internal efforts at Microsoft to make more money from the games they published, while also trying to figure out how to lower the overall cost of Game Pass as a service. I don't know if this will end up lowering prices. Sub-services don't typically email you and say that your prices are lower, but it could come at the same time as a new tier announcement as a way of reshaping what Game Pass looks like. And then, the reason I've got Fable running behind me, Jeff Grubb had his own Xbox rumor. He claimed that Fable had been delayed internally. He did say, however, that Microsoft still has plans to release Fable in 2026, and that the game could potentially land in the final month of 2026. Here's what he said. He said, apparently they're trying to get it out this year, but they are worried about the launch of GTA 6, and so it's getting delayed beyond the release of GTA 6. That could push it into December, which might make the game a prime candidate to get delayed to 2027. Now, the Fable Twitter account is tweeting in response to somebody out there and said, see you in Albion in autumn of 2026. Apparently, that could be all the way to December. I don't think I've ever referred to December as autumn, but I guess that's the way it is used in certain parts of the world. Here's the thing, though. If it slips all the way to December as a way to avoid GTA 6, I already had a gut instinct this game was going to struggle to get out this year. It didn't look that impressive to me at the Direct. I thought it looked a little rough. It looked a little clunky, as if this is coming out in 6 to 8 months, I just don't see it being there and being ready, especially after all this time. So there could be a delay, there could not. I don't necessarily think their tweet refutes what Grubb said, because he did say, hey, they're trying to get it out this year, and December is where it could land. Jez Corden also was not done dropping insider information about Xbox. He said that he heard Xbox has reduced the top-down margin pressure on the brand to give it extra margins to work on features and systems that don't directly tie to profitability. Now, this could be because of the new direction under Asha Sharma and bringing things like the FanFest back. Perhaps she won some internal battles to put Xbox back in the good graces of the public and the fans after a really, really rocky and lackluster gen for the last 6 years. And lastly, in the way of Xbox rumors, I'm not done. There's one more Xbox rumor. There was a lot of Xbox rumblings over the weekend. Nate the Hate has said there's an Xbox show this week on the 16th. That's an interesting date, isn't it? Metro 2039 will be revealed, which has Metro fans very excited. Now, apparently, this has nothing to do with the Assassin's Creed Black Flag reveal, the remake that's supposed to be revealed on that same day. Nate the Hate said he believes that Ubisoft's going to reveal that on their own. Now, this also means that the rumored PlayStation State of Play might be happening the same day, which would be very strange. State of Plays typically happen on Wednesdays or Thursdays, so perhaps PlayStation's going to be targeting Wednesday to avoid it. Maybe they had no idea this was coming. This did kind of come out of nowhere, so we could end up with 2 shows on Thursday. Maybe the console war is back on the menu. I'm just kidding, not really. All in all, the weekend shaped up to be a bustling time for Xbox fans and Xbox rumors, and it looks like the future could start to maybe brighten for the Xbox loyal out there. But that's just what I think. And I got one more thing for you, okay? One last thing, I promise. We try not to make these show opens too long, and I do have a bit of a surprise for you guys here today, so I can't wait to get to that. It appears the runway to GTA 6 just got a little bit more crazy. Rockstar Games confirmed over the weekend that they were the victim of a third-party data breach. They did clarify, however, there is no major impact to the company or their players. On April 11th, the hacker group demanded a ransom by April the 14th, which is tomorrow. They allegedly got access to financial data, player spending habits, and contracts and outsourcing those contracts with outsourcing companies. And according to Rockstar, this has no impact on the company or the players. Now, some have speculated that this could affect the marketing and the timeline for GTA 6. Given the limited scope of the breach, I kind of doubt this is going to affect the release date of GTA 6. However, we are very, very close to those fiscal calls where they're going to have to reconfirm that GTA 6 release date so the shareholders kind of calm down. And then the marketing is supposed to spin up in May. We kept hearing that. PlayStation's apparently involved. Thankfully, the breach does not seem to be significant enough to alter or delay the shipping of the game, but those are just my thoughts. Maybe I'm being a little bit hopeful and I'm on the hopium. So now it's time for me to discuss this with you guys. But here's the thing. I didn't think today warranted me just being all by myself. So we decided to let middle-aged gamer guy, I'm stuttering here, Mag, join me on the show today. Good morning, Mag. Welcome to the show.
Good day to you, Lono. How you doing, everybody? How's chat doing out there? And listen, man, can you save some news for somebody else? That was like every single media media site in the world. You just got every single piece of that news right there. And yeah, we got a lot to talk about today and a lot of things. So great. Guys, great to see you in the chat. And of course, I'm always here, but I'm always lurking, or I'm usually just listening to it after the fact. I listen to your shows at night or the next day. So yeah, I'm always sort of here in spirit, so to speak, right? So, but anyways, enough nonsense. We got some things to talk about today, all right? So let's go. Hi, everybody. I see y'all in the chat. Everybody's
guys, give a nice warm welcome to Mag on the show. He is the creator of the Mag Show on YouTube. He co-hosts the XNC podcast with Colt Eastwood every week, and he's been gaming since 1979, which I was born in 81, so you might have some years on me there. But and we do need to get this out of the way. I know this can get a little dramatic sometimes with people and their shows and their content. His background's real. It's not a green screen.
Oh, that's real. Those are real games. I turned them on for everybody this morning. I said, you know what? I'm doing a guest spot here. Now, normally when I do Magcast, I mean, that can run 6.5 hours sometimes. It gets pretty wild in there. But either way, when I'm doing it, I'm like, I usually don't have the machines on. I'm like, you know what? Today's a special occasion. Let's turn the machines on. And sometimes people don't believe me, like I was saying before to you behind the scenes, is that I have to physically stand up and bang the buttons because everybody, I'm like, no, these are real. Those are real real cabinets. So, yeah, 1979, dude. Pong, very first one. I played Pong in 79 and never looked back. 51 years old, and here we are. Look at all the thank you, guys. I was actually expecting a lot of people being like, who's this guy? And like saying all these horrible things, but actually everybody's pretty much saying hello. So, yeah, nice to see you guys.
Well, we got his Twitter up here, and you can also check him out on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and click on that link as well. There it is, The Mag Show. Give him a follow, give him a subscribe, check out his content. And we want to welcome people to the show sometimes to just talk about what's going on and have a bit of a back and forth. And man, oh man, I DM'd you last night. I was like, we have a feast for Monday.
Oh my goodness, do we ever?
Like, usually it kind of slows down. So I just kind of want to take it sort of in order here, kind of in order of what I did there in the show open. And, you know, following Xbox this gen and hearing these rumors about the PlayStation 6 Lite, what's your reaction to that? Because my initial reaction is like, oh, please, let's not do this. Like, let's not go into a Gen 2 tier again.
I'm 100% on board with what you're saying. I do not want this to happen because what this is going to do is you're going to create another Series S sort of situation. I don't want to see any of that. And also, I feel it dilutes the brand somewhat, where you're pulling away from a tried and true business model, right? You got one box, one Pro that usually comes out about halfway through. I mean, I know that only started last generation. There was no PS3 Pro, but I mean, there was, PS4 Pro, you got your PS5 Pro, and then of course they had the handheld. But the handheld, the PS Portal, does not interfere with the development of the game. It is essentially, it's a streaming box, so to speak, right? It's a streaming handheld, whether it uses cloud or whether you tether directly to the console. So that being the case, it never interfered with any. But when you start muddying the waters with different power, right? With different chipsets, now you're going to run into issues where you say, okay, well, now we have to now develop for the lowest common denominator and then move up from there. That will cause issues. However, that being said, if you look at this generation in terms of, let's look at Xbox and the Series S, you can see that the companies sort of have given up on the S a little bit. Like, they're like, listen, man, you're just getting the scraps at the end of the table, all right? That's all you're getting. So, like, if you look at what you look at the visual breakdowns that they had for Resident Evil Requiem, and you see the different features. Okay, this one has ray tracing. This one doesn't. This one offers a 120 FPS mode in the PS5 Pro. The Series X has the same as the base PS5, on and on and on. And so you look at that, and then when you get to the Series S, they're like, you get the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there might be, there might be that as well. Crimson Desert did the same thing. It was hilarious to look at the breakdown of all the different options that you had. And then you get to the Series S and it says, you're lucky you're even getting this, basically, without saying it, right? So I think I don't want to see that with a PlayStation 6. I want them to see them optimized for one piece of hardware, and then you have that supplementary hardware being that handheld of sorts. But I wouldn't want to see the handheld native either. I think that they just work on some kind of a more technologically advanced PS Portal. I think would be good, like a PS Portal 2 or something like that, and just make the features better, but not make it native, because then you're going to open the door to more problems. And I mean, you just saw it happen this generation with the Series S specifically, and why would you repeat that?
Yeah.
Now, again, that being said, sorry, I'll give the mic back to you in just a second here. And so the other thing is that if you look at how many prototypes happen during hardware development, there are tons or dozens of different ideas, options. What do? I mean, I've done it a million times too. You sit down in the boardroom, they got the big whiteboard behind you, and they sit down and say, okay, lay it on me. Give me every single option. So what happens there is then, one of those options squeaks out to the public, to an insider, something. And then they say, oh, by the way, they're doing this, this, and this, and this. They may never actually even have plans of doing anything like that. It just might be one of the options that was presented, to the top brass. And they say, okay, these are the options. Well, then they have to make that decision. It's just like when I get news out of Xbox or Microsoft specifically, and they're like, hey, listen, they're working on this, this, and this. And I was like, okay, but I don't say anything about it anymore. I used to. But now I stopped, because all of a sudden, all it takes is the wave of a wand, and Asha could just say, no, we're not doing that. And then all of a sudden, who do they crucify? Me, not her. I get crucified for making that news, right? For example, I'll give you one example, and I don't know if you guys know about this. There are about 12 prototypes for the new Helix controller, and one of those had Copilot button on it, right? So I didn't make a video about it. I talked about it on XNC. I talked about it on Madcast, and someone that I spoke to in the head office said, hey, they got one of the prototype controllers has a Copilot button built into it. Does that mean it's coming out? No. Did I make a video about it? Absolutely not. But this could be the same thing. However, the only thing I could push back on myself, I guess, is that there is they are giving price ranges of $699 to what, $999 I think it was, or $900. Something like that?
Yeah,
like
for the base PS6, like the full PS6, like $700 to $1,000.
Right. Okay.
And then the Lite would be like $350 to $550.
Right. Yeah. So I think, again, I'm putting this up as just an option that they're exploring. I don't think that this is going to be solid as of yet, because one thing that Sony does do incredibly well is when Microsoft makes a mistake, they're very quick to capitalize on it and say, not only take advantage of it, but they're also very quick to say, okay, whatever they're doing, we're not. We can go back to Xbox One and the PS4, and they said, oh, our cameras built in? Immediately, what do? Call the warehouse and be like, pull the cameras out of the box. We're charging $100 less. They can buy it on their own, and they're always very quick to react. And I mean, you've had 5 years now, 5+ years of watching what's happened with the series consoles. Why would you repeat that?
Yeah, well, let's pull some of the chat in on this, because chat has some of their own thoughts, guys. And welcome Mag to the show, Middle-Aged Gamer Guy. Check him out on Twitter and YouTube. I am going to thank the subs: Hasio Gifted One, Pimtastical with 48 months. Spice King with 20 months said the big 2-0. Also, this is everybody's reminder to play Alan Wake and Control. I agree with that, especially with Control sequel coming this year. Hidden Siri with 23 months says Fable isn't real until they actually release it. And then Amskin with a membership. I will get all those added to the total. These are new scenes. I don't have like the sub goal here, so we will get to that in a moment. I'll add that to the scene so we can track y'all's support. But I do think there was something I think is very helpful in the context of the discussion. Nick in chat says, the only thing that makes me think a PS6S or Lite's more viable than the 2020 Series S, back then we had no upscalers, or good ones at least, not of an idea anyway. They got to be careful there. And I think there's another aspect to this that may have changed the calculus at PlayStation, and it's probably the handheld. I think the handheld that they're allegedly working on, because this year we're supposed to be getting a better version of the Portal. That is what I have heard. I have heard there's a better version of the Portal coming this year. Likely we'll have like an OLED screen, and probably better or more robust functionality, maybe the ability to do like Netflix and stuff. But if they made some kind of a breakthrough with PSSR as an upscaler that said, hey, we can give a lot of headroom to a handheld and we could get a really good handheld in the market, because I feel like the handheld's going to be more of a PlayStation 5. Like, I don't think it's necessarily meant to be a PlayStation 6. I don't know. So maybe that changed the calculus for them. They're like, you know what, we can do a lighter version because the future is not about the hardware jumps. It's about the upscaling. It's about the ray tracing. Maybe that's what changed the calculus for them, because I'm still like, I think this is a mistake, but I do wonder if the handheld market is changing the landscape for their future, like, ideas about what they can do with scalability. But that does make you wonder, are PlayStation Studios going to be tasked with, hey, make sure your game runs well on the handheld and make sure your game runs well on the PS6 Lite? And we know exactly what that does. That shrinks your development possibilities. It removes potential features. As it stands right now, it seems like they just want games to be built and then the low power mode comes after. Like they did that with Yote. Like Yote came out. Yote looks absolutely incredible on my PlayStation 5 and my Pro, and then they added the low power mode after the fact. I'm kind of hopeful that that's maybe the way that they approach it. If you start first with you've got to build for the weaker system or the handheld, I think that's a fundamental mistake. I think that's as I said, a rake that Xbox already stepped on.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to say. Is that, but again, we're going to have to wait for more confirmation. But the thing is, we also have to remember that this is still presumably about 16, 17 months away. So this is a long way away from actual production of the product and what they're actually going to do. So I'm going to sort of reserve my judgment on what I think is actually going to happen until we get some more confirmation. But I could see them toying around with the idea, right, of more accessibility. We saw that the PS Portal this generation, as I was saying earlier, was the most successful handheld this generation. Outside, I mean, I don't consider the Nintendo Switch a handheld per se. I just consider it a console. But as an accessory, it was their most successful accessory, and they were actually shocked about it. They were surprised. And I remember I spoke to a couple people at Insomniac saying, we actually didn't expect that thing to take off the way it did. And they weren't prepared for it. They ran out of stock a couple of times, and they're like, okay, get this thing in production. And so I think that that's what sparked the idea for maybe a handheld next generation. However, the other thing is price. It all boils down to price. Features don't mean anything at the end of the day if people can't afford it. And so that's the number one thing that the Portal did have going for it. I believe in the United States, it's what, $1.99? You know, $199, whatever for a Portal. That is incredibly affordable, especially in the gaming space. I mean, that's practically just 2.5 games, right? That could be a stocking stuffer for little Johnny or whatever. But you're not going to be, you're not going to be doing a stocking stuffer for $500. That's where people start to draw the line, and they say, that's a little bit much. And then you start pushing along. And I hope they don't lose focus that the PS Portal not only is a great device, I love that thing, but I got it day one, and it wasn't great day one, let's face it. It was actually pretty terrible for the most part. I was able to only operate it in my house. And now I can go pretty much anywhere, and the thing is absolutely perfect. And I've worked, I've tried it on, I played Ghost of Yotai on the worst possible public internet humanly possible, and I'm like, this is great, and it just works. But the thing is, again, it's affordable. If you start pushing into that boundary where it becomes unaffordable, you've lost the accessory, because now you're expecting people to pay anywhere between $600 and $1,000, let's say, or whatever, for a console, and then you're expecting them, if they want that supplementary product that they could take on the road, and you start dipping into the $300, $400, $500 range, you're losing the customer.
I put a link to Mag's YouTube channel in the chat for you guys there. I got it up on the screen, but I also he was discussing the pricing, so I put up the leaks here of what we're looking at from Moore's Law's channel. They've got the Canis, the PS6 Canis console, and then the Canis handheld, and then the Orion. And a 5 bomb comes in from Sneaky Wolf. Thank you for gifting 5 members. And then Frank last with 17 months says, good morning, Lono and chat and guests. Guys, thank you so much for doing that. And take a quick second and hit that like button. You can get us to 200 likes. We're just working our way through all of the news, and the PlayStation 1 kind of took front and center for me, because I am very skeptical about this plan. The one reason I'm not full bore negative about this, okay, is I trust Mark Cerny. Like, I do think he has won a lot of goodwill and trust from me with how he's handled PS5 Pro, with how they've handled PSSR, the relationship with AMD and Project Amethyst. It's like, okay, you've got my trust until you don't, right? So you have my trust and you have my confidence until you don't. So I'm hopeful that we don't see this turn into sort of the albatross that the Series S kind of turned into this gen, which, you know, I actually think it's probably a good segue. It seems like Xbox wants to maybe shake that dust off and start building the runway for Project Helix. And so a lot of Xbox rumblings over the weekend. It's good we got Mag here, because you do content about, you know, Xbox quite a bit whenever you're on the XNC cast. I'm sure you guys are gonna have a ton of things to talk about tonight, so be sure to check out that show. You're doing that tonight, right, with Colt?
Yeah. I will. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be calling him a shill the entire show tonight when he puts on that Helix hoodie. So, I'll be on top of him. So, folks, if you want to get a couple laughs, go check out XNC tonight. I will be relentless with Colt. But anyways, just joking around. He's a good friend of mine. We're very close friends. We talk on the phone almost every single day like little girls. But either way, I'm excited to bust his chops tonight. So it's going to be pretty funny.
Well, on that subject, there was a lot of chops being busted out here, and it got a little toxic. And I thought, this didn't seem bizarre to me. It seemed a little early. I thought, is this going to be an event or a showcase or something? Like, I remember I got like a little box from Destiny, and they were like, hey, we're gonna do this event, and we want you to come out. I thought, oh, maybe they're getting ready to do a showcase. They're going to bring content creators out. And it turned out to be basically a swag box. It had like some shirts and some hoodies and stuff.
Yeah.
And it caused a little bit of that, you know, the common console kerfuffle that we see on Twitter. And I thought, guys, this is still sort of, in my opinion, on brand for Xbox. Like, I feel like they approach things in a little bit more of a social way. Like, they have this sort of push to hang out with creators or bring creators onto shows and things like that. So we'll work through there's a bunch of stuff about Xbox. We'll get to Fable and other stuff. What's your general read on the timing of this? Like, why do you think they're doing it? They're sending swag boxes for a console. We were talking before the show, and you're like, what if the name changes? Like, are they going to keep calling it this?
That's the thing. The one thing I found bizarre is that they have the name of the project, which I thought was hilarious. I did a video about it. And I said Microsoft loves their projects when they always seem to announce the project well before the actual product comes out. But the thing is that you made the merch for it. It'll probably be worth money one day, because what if they change it to the Xbox Duo? I don't know, or whatever kind of name they come up with for the actual console. So I found it a little peculiar that they said they have Project Helix swag without actually naming the box yet. So, but either way, I think the timing about it is all about the Summer Games Fest and, of course, the Xbox Showcase coming up in June. And I think that this is going to sort of kick off that entire initiative and the vibe and the marketing behind that. I have a feeling then they're going to show more about it. If they're already giving swag out to social media influencers and YouTubers, I think that we're going to see something about it in June. I have no confirmation on that yet. I'm going to look into that. I dig deep with some of my people. But either way, it gets to that point where you're like, well, why would they do it now, just as you brought up? And I think it has everything to do with that lead up in the next 6 weeks or so to the Xbox Showcase and get the word out there, and I think they're gonna have a bigger reveal there. Now, I don't really know for sure, but like I said, I will look into it over the next little while, and we'll see what happens. But it is incredibly bizarre. I still find it bizarre that they use the project name for something and then might change the name later. But yeah, either way, it's out there. They're out there now, and I gotta say something. You know what? When it comes to swag, regardless of how you feel about Xbox or anybody in the chat or whatever, whether you love it, whether you don't, or whether you're indifferent to it, the one thing that they do really well is they make some really great clothing. I got a Series X hoodie that they gave me, right, like years ago, and I'm like, I still wear that thing all the time, and it is so comfortable, so nice. And all I wish is that the other companies would do the same. The only thing I see from Sony is the thing with the 4 symbols on it, right, from the controller. And I'm like, can't you make something cool like these guys? And they're like, don't worry, we're making cool games. I'm like, fine, you can do that too. Make me a nice sweater. Make me a nice sweater. I'll wear the sweater. Make a nice shirt. Look, I got a Game Boy shirt here from Nintendo. Great. But their swag is good, and they're really, really good at that. Now, the funny thing is, the irony of that is that their marketing for their actual products, when it comes to like their games or their messaging or whatever, is terrible. But for some reason, their social media aspect stuff is really, really good. So whoever's running that department properly, and I'm not talking about Greenberg, I'm talking about the people underneath who are actually making these things go into motion, they're doing a great job. And already they seem to be continuing on that way. And I like this Asha, but we'll get into that later. I kind of like her.
Yeah, the first thing I saw was the box that Destin Legary had got, and I was like, oh, maybe they're doing something. Then I saw that, there was hoodies, and I thought, this is a non-issue to me. I do think it does highlight a distinct difference between the companies. PlayStation is very much, we'll talk to you when we feel like it, and they also they are also very not social at all. I mean, and they don't really try to dress up their presentations. Like, if you think about it, like whenever they do something with Mark Cerny, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is kind of sleepy. But I like him because he's good at what he does. He's not necessarily a showman. I don't need him to be a showman. I need him to be a good engineer. And to loop back, I did just get word from somebody that I trust that the PlayStation 6 Lite is not real. So maybe it was an early SketchUp plan they were considering. Okay. It could be an old spreadsheet. Basically, if that thing were real, then developers would know about it already, and that is not the case. The developers are only aware of the PlayStation 6. They're not aware of a PlayStation 6 Lite. So potentially, it's kind of like what we saw when the Insomniac stuff leaked. There was a bunch of stuff that we saw that never came to fruition. It was just like roadmaps and plans. So this could have been something they were trying to do or thinking about doing and ended up not doing it.
Is this a new development just now, you're saying, that you just saw something about it?
I got a message from somebody that I trust.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, yeah. Well, there you go. I think that almost lines up with what I was saying, that there's a possibility that this could just be a whiteboard in an office, right, where someone got a glimpse of it and said, hey, this is what they might be working on, or this what. And then, of course, you know how it goes. You ever play broken telephone when you're a kid? You know, you sit around in a circle and you say one thing, and by the time you get to the end, it says, the nurse was walking through the banana patch or whatever, right? It's the same idea, right? So this could have been exactly that situation where all of a sudden you could have had ideas on a whiteboard, and then all of a sudden it turns into confirmed. PlayStation has 3 consoles coming out, right? So again, I'm gonna kind of pump the brakes on it, but it sounds like it's leaning in that direction that they may have just seen ideas for their future. Yeah. Now, the Portal 2 sounds good to me. I mean, I think if you make it even more powerful Portal 2 with even bigger screen, which, I mean, the screen is fantastic, but just add a few more features in there, make it a little bit more tech heavy, and at the same time try to keep it within that price range. Like a Costco hot dog, it's always $1.50. Try to keep it within that $200 range, and you will sell them like hotcakes. I would buy one with a PS6 day one, but if you start charging $300, $400, $500, I'm not. Right?
$300, $400, $500 for a native handheld?
Like that kind of thing. I wouldn't do it, because I'm like, listen, I'm putting all this money into the PS6, and it could possibly cost me. Now, of course, up in Canada, it's a little bit different. $700 for you guys is $1,100 for me, and so it gets pretty pricey up here. The PS5 Pro I paid $1,200 for, so it gets pretty pricey. So I would probably avoid it. But a Portal, somewhere sitting around the $249.99 Canadian range, $199 US, I would be in.
Yeah, a Portal, I think a Portal's got to stay lower in cost. I could see them maybe going up to $299 if they do an OLED, but an actual native handheld I expect to be a little bit more because of the actual components that would be in it. I also wonder if a native handheld is their attempt to do a little bit better in Japan, the Asian market. Gaming on the go is a little bit more common. So they could be looking at us and thinking, you're going to buy a console for the most part anyway. And I'm also being told in my Discord that Moore's Law is Dead was being hypothetical with the PS6 Lite. The way he put that spreadsheet together, I thought that was something he actually had found. So I was not aware that this was a hypothetical that he was putting out there. That's kind of interesting that he did that and had like the die and the board and the cooling. I guess I did not catch that when I saw this reported, but so
dude, you know as well as anybody, you can say 7 words on a podcast, let's say, in a 3-hour span, and someone will turn that into a news story that, Lono said this, and Lono meant that.
That's right.
And Lono meant this. Like, you know how it goes, right? And the same thing to me. They take everything out of context. I'm like, did you listen to the 3 hours or the 7 words, right? And so that's or the beginning of the sentence and the end of the sentence you didn't listen to. So I could absolutely see someone taking what he said out of context and absolutely run wild with it, because listen, at the end of the day, the clicks matter, right? The views matter, and all of a sudden you got people going out there and just going wild, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then all of a sudden, hey, my views are up, my videos are up, all that kind of stuff, the clickbaity things, whatever. Speaking of which, by the way, this is completely off topic. I don't know if you've been getting this, guys, in the chat. Let me know. When I'm watching certain videos or whatever, YouTube has been reaching out with a little arrow pointing up and saying, do you feel this is clickbait? Have you seen this?
I've gotten some that ask, like, do you like this in your feed or something? I don't
there's
think I've
that.
seen. I've not seen something asking about clickbait. That's interesting.
I got a clickbait. I even screenshotted them because I'm getting a little worried. I'm like, whoa, what's happening here? So I'm wondering if they're cracking down on stuff like that, where like all these videos about, conjecture or whatever, just like even just thoughts and opinions all of a sudden turn into, do you feel this is clickbait, right? And it worries me. There was another one I saw. It said, does this kind of content make you uncomfortable or things like that? And I'm like, okay. I know what the AI is doing, but the clickbait one really set me off because that ties directly into what we're talking about. So we can even have a conversation of just speculation, and then all of a sudden someone can interpret that, or AI can interpret that as clickbait, right? And then penalize you for it. That stinks. But exactly, Cat Uncle. YouTube testing the newest thing again. Exactly.
Yeah. Or they're also probably trying to crack down on, there were some bot channels that were probably just running with AI churned out content. So that's hopefully that's what that's for. Because sometimes you do just speculate and you do just kind of throw things out there. And yes, I'm very familiar with clip culture and how one sentence can get turned into an entire segment. I'm very familiar with that one. Okay, so the PlayStation 6 Lite thing, I feel a little bit better thinking like, okay, they don't seem to be doing that. It was a hypothetical, and probably not something that they're doing based on even everything that I'm hearing. So if you guys are enjoying this show, this is something we're going to be doing periodically. And you know what? I'm not even going to tell you when it's going to happen. You might show up and all of a sudden I've got somebody on the show with me. Okay. So today we've got Mag here, middle-aged gamer guy, and we're combing through all the news. We talked about the PS6 Lite and the PlayStation 6, and then we kind of dipped into Xbox. We got a lot more to talk about with Xbox. So the Project Helix swag, to me, not a real issue, and people are quickly going to get over that. I don't think it's anything worth getting upset about. They've got people that they like to work with and do interviews with and all of that, and that's fine. That's how Xbox has handled their brand for a while, but it wasn't the only rumbling that we heard. And this one's developing, like right now. So, according to Jeff Grubb, Fable has been internally delayed, but they are still targeting a 2026 release. And he said they're targeting it to land after GTA 6, which, if you guys saw the tweet, as this has been kind of developing, Fable responded to somebody and said, we're excited to welcome you to Albion in autumn 2026. Mm-hmm. So, you looked this up before the show, so that's why I knew this, that autumn apparently can refer all the way to December. Like, and if it does, I feel like, just from the Xbox Developer Direct, maybe we should go back. What were your thoughts after the Dev Direct? I thought, this doesn't look ready. I don't think this lands this year. This still looks very, very rough. They were very much controlling what we could see. It did not feel like a game coming this year.
Yeah, I lost the bet. Presumably lost the bet with Colt Eastwood, saying I said it was going to come out 2027. That it was no way it was going to make, excuse me, there's no way it's going to make 2026. Then when they announced 2026 and said autumn, my first I actually said it out loud because I did the live reaction on my channel. And the first thing I said is that this is a mistake. It's an absolute mistake. And I'll tell you, for two reasons. And I did a video yesterday and I talked about it. I said, Fable Delay with a question mark because wasn't 100% sure, but I said, that's a good thing. And the reason why I think it's a good thing is because, well, two sides of it. If you look at the Xbox side of it, you've got all these games coming out. You've got these. You've got in Game Pass. You've got in the fall. I'm talking specifically the fall. So we're talking like September to the end of November area, right? And you've got the Gears of War. You've got Call of Duty. You've got, and then of course you got the third-party games on top of that. And then you've got Grand Theft Auto 6. And then I'm like, where are you going to stick Fable in? Where you're going to get that engagement? Now I have numbers. Excuse me. I have numbers. I usually don't podcast in the morning, folks, so a lot of phlegm. Sorry. The thing is, if you look at the numbers, the engagement numbers on Game Pass, they're not very good. And what I mean by that, I don't mean that like in an incredibly negative way. What I'm saying is that the engagement numbers are just not there in terms of hours spent on the game. And all you have to do, folks, this is not some kind of console war nonsense or fanboy nonsense. All you have to do is, if you have an Xbox or have access to one, go into the achievements, and you could see the achievements, the percentage of achievements completed based on how much time is played in the game. For example, the game that everybody was running around with flags for, what the hell was that one? The one with the music. Why can't I think of it? They closed the studio, the Japanese studio. They made the one with the music.
Hi-Fi Rush.
There you go, Hi-Fi Rush. Thank you. Sorry. Hi-Fi Rush. And if you actually looked at it, it showed that 12% made it to level 2. Right? And that's just a story achievement, right? So you're looking at engagement, and they want to improve engagement. So if you want to do that, you can't stick a game that could be presumably around 40 to 100 hours in the middle of all of that nonsense, right? You've got, like I said, all those games coming out. You want that engagement up. Therefore, the game needs time to breathe. On top of that, you just also don't want everybody on Xbox or PC to consume this game through Game Pass. You also want people to purchase the game. And by doing so, that, of course, obviously increases their profit. And now you look at the PlayStation side. This is where it gets really ugly for them, is because from the PlayStation side, September 9th, you've got Phantom Blade Zero. 6 days later, for whatever reason, they're releasing Wolverine. I don't understand the release cadence of 6 days. I think that's crazy to me. But either way, you've got Phantom Blade Zero, we got Wolverine. And then I'm also going to say that I think Call of Duty is going to drop in October. And the reason why, you're going to get out of the way of GTA 6. Because normally or traditionally it comes out usually the first or second week of November, somewhere in that range, usually around Veterans Day / Remembrance Day, somewhere around there. Well, you're going to want to avoid all that. Yes, I understand one's a first-person shooter, the other one's an open-world game, whatever, action-adventure game. But it doesn't matter. It's the same demographic of people that are going to be playing that game. So when you have that, the attention's going to be pulled away from Call of Duty. They're going to be playing GTA 6. So I think they're going to release in October. So that's 3 games. Now, you've also got Playground is going to be launching Forza Horizon 6 in the fall for PlayStation, right? They said it was coming out in the fall. That's number 4. Call of Duty is number 5. Now you got Grand Theft Auto, that's number 6. And we don't even know where we're going to get Assassin's Creed Black Flag. We're not 100% sure about that. There's other talks about other games like Metro, for example. We don't know when, but you know what I mean? So we have 6, potentially 7 AAA games coming out within 90 days. Where on earth are you going to put Fable that you're expecting sales? Yeah. This is what I'm trying to talk about. So what happens is, I know that there's a lot of people online will say, well, it's okay, I'll play it and I'll get through it and this and that. I said, but you guys are also missing the other point. The other point is the fight and the sports games. Thank you, TJ Boom Boom. That is right as well. The sports games. Never mind your Maddens, your college footballs, your NHLs, this and that.
Yep.
And so now FIFA. So you're looking at the situation. It's not even just about time anymore, Lono. It's about the financial issue. How can people afford all of this? There is no Game Pass on PlayStation, so you're going to have these people are going to have to make financial decisions when it comes to these games and say, I can afford 3 games. Which ones am I going to buy? And now, from our point of view, being gamers, and this is what we do, we're going to say, which one's going to get Titanfall 2'd? Right? Because they're going to get, which is going to get Titanfall 2? Because we're going to get wedged between this game, this game, and this game, and people are going to have to make that decision. We also know, through statistics, that the average gamer spends, 1.5 to 1.75 games a year they purchase. And I'm talking about the 85% casual, obviously not the hardcore like the people listening here and everybody else, right? So, 1.5 to 1.75 games a year. I just listed 7 games that are coming out. So you can eliminate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those games out of the equation. So what's going to end up happening? People are going to prioritize Wolverine. They're going to prioritize GTA 6, obviously. And for the most part, they're going to prioritize Call of Duty. Where does that leave those other games? Well, we're going to have to push them out of there. And that's why I think that December was always, for me, was always the best option. The other thing I looked into is that autumn, in British terms, is right before the winter solstice, goes all the way till December 21st. So when they came out today and say, I think Playground came out just before we went live and said, we are not delaying, we have no plans on delaying the game. Well, actually, technically, they could still be correct because they could drop the game on December 21st and still be considered autumn. So by corpo speak, they're not really lying per se, saying, we're doing that. You could release on the 20th of December and still be in autumn. And I think that that's a good idea. Give GTA a month to breathe, and then you got an open field in front of you. You've got Fable sitting right there. You've got the holiday season, whatever you celebrate during December. You've got all that time there. Kids are off school. It seems to be geared in that. I mean, yeah, of course, there's adult aspects in the game, but I think it would really appeal to kids, especially with the visual flair and whatever else in the game. Very similar to Hogwarts Legacy. And you've got really nothing on the horizon until the first quarter 27. I think that would be your best option.
I do think there's something that could motivate them to skip December as well. I do want to pull chatted on this, guys. We're going to be interacting with you as much as each other as best we can, so thanks for being here and hitting the like button. We're so close to 200 likes, and I forgot to thank Twilight for gifting 5 subs over there on Twitch and Snake Eyes Renewed. We also had a super chat from Josh. He says, for $10, first time watching the channel. Mag, good to see you. Thank you. And then Joker Quinn gifted one as well. I think December is fraught with problems almost as much as November, though, Mag, because that's when we're hearing GTA 6 Online will go live, which
that's true.
At some level, that's bigger than the release of the game itself. At some level, right? It's like, I don't know. I think November and December just got gobbled up. I think Rockstar just kind of claimed those 2 months. Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, that I had people telling me that they didn't think PlayStation would be like scared of GTA 6, and when I saw that Wolverine launch date, I'm like, oh no, they 100% want to give that game a wide berth.
You know what though? I'm not 100% sure it's a wide berth though. What I'm thinking it is that Sony, from what I understand, is they're going to be treating the game like an exclusive. Because that they're going to get the majority of those sales. They have the marketing deal, and they will have bundling deals that go with it. That being the case, they're going to treat it like an exclusive because they're going to sell like gangbusters over there. I'm not saying they're not going to sell anywhere else. They will. I mean, there's only 2 places being sold on Xbox and PlayStation. They will obviously sell on Xbox. They'll even sell hardware on Xbox as people who want to remain in that ecosystem. But when you have almost 100 million, and by that point, they will have well over 100 million consoles in the wild, they're going to treat that like an exclusive. And therefore, they don't want any of their games near it. I don't think because they're afraid of it. I think they're just afraid of how much money they're going to be raking in. They won't be able to count it fast enough. So I think that's why they're going to treat it that way. And they keep all their games away from it and say, no, this is basically an exclusive. They'll sell 25, 30 million copies right off the bat. And then, of course, take their 30%, and then who knows beyond that, right? So I think that they're going to treat it like that. They're going to treat it like an exclusive. By the way, someone in the chat, where is it, said, don't sleep on Forza. Yes, I don't. No, absolutely not going to sleep on Forza as well. Because, I mean, that game sold, 5 million copies on a 5-year-old racing game?
Yeah.
That was on PlayStation. That's pretty magnificent. That's pretty incredible that happened. But either way, well, we're going to have to just wait and see. But it's going to be it's going to be a wild fall. That's all I know.
Well, the year is heating up just this week. I mean, we've got replaced Pragmata, Mouse PI. I mean, this is honestly the week it kind of kicks off, and then from here on out, it's kind of a barrage of games, which does make it a little perilous to try to release your game, especially if it isn't quite ready or is a little rough around the edges. Like, I think Forza looks obviously incredible. It's Forza. I expect nothing less from those guys, but GTA 6 is so eclipsing. It sort of has shifted the calendar all around to where I do believe that, like, starting this week all the way to Wolverine, there's just everybody's trying to get their games out. And there was a game that you mentioned, and I know chat's weighing in saying GTA 6 has the whole industry shook, says Gone Kid. I agree. The GTA 6 bundles will be compromised a bit by the price hike. That I do think that they did the price hike anticipating GTA 6 kind of helping, because I definitely think PlayStation diminished their demand with the price hike, and that makes people like more skittish to buy one. But then the GTA 6 bundles are likely going to be there, or just maybe advertisements about like the Pro is the best place to play or what have you. Biggie Smalls, thank you for 35 months. I'm late to the show, but what a surprise. Mag and Lono chopping it up. Let's go. Thank you so much. Right. I appreciate that. But in the vein of big releases, Mag, we're hearing, and this is not surprising to me, and I know you've looked internal and talked to people that are pretty high up on this stuff before, but the Call of Duty potentially getting pulled from day and date on Game Pass, it's being considered is what we're hearing. Now, I'm not shocked by that at all, given the last 2 years they've had to raise the price right before Call of Duty comes out because they know what's about to happen. And even at the current price, it's still significantly cheaper to snag Game Pass Ultimate for a month and play Call of Duty. Or, as you were saying, all these games coming out, you can just wait and do Game Pass for 2 months, and you can play just an ocean of games, then cancel.
Yep.
Where do you land on this one? Because this is not shocking to me at all. I wouldn't be surprised if Asha Sharma, especially after she meets with the co-CEO of Netflix, and he's like, I don't think Microsoft has figured out how to make Game Pass work for them yet. That was his conclusion from that interchange. I'm like, I don't think they have either, which means it could go through some pretty serious revisions in the coming days. Where do you land on that?
Yeah, that's going to be a situation. Now, the funny thing is, even I interpreted it as cryptic. Colt was mentioning it on XNC, says, he asked me, and he says, so what do you think about Call of Duty may not being on Game Pass? I'm like, Colt, what are you hearing? What the way he said it was immediately that people were talking about it. And I did hear after the fact, I had somebody else reach out to me and say, yeah, it's being considered. Now, what's happening now, we've had the leadership change. You've got Asha Sharma in there right now, and of course, what's going to happen? But by the way, she was already in talks with Satya months and months and months ahead of time about the entire situation, and her job was already locked in by the first week of December. That she was already in, so to speak, and so her business plan was already presented. But what ended up happening is, and of course, we're going to dive into that a little bit later about the margins situation. But the thing is that at that point, she has to pull apart the entire onion layer by layer. And she has to say, okay, what's working, what's not working. We're going to avoid all the other stuff because that's not the conversation right now. We're going to talk about Call of Duty. That is just one of the layers. And someone in the chat actually said it never should have been there to begin with. I agree with that. I agree. I think that was a game that should never have come to Game Pass. Now, my understanding is that Phil fought very hard to get it onto Game Pass, whereas the brass was not interested in putting it there. They just wanted to own the IP. So they had no intention of putting it in there to begin with, but Phil fought very hard to get it into Game Pass, and then, of course, he did with that famous interview with him on the couch or whatever, right? And then he turned around, he's like, day one on Game Pass, yeah, they said I wouldn't do it. You remember that one? So there was that, and he fought very hard for it. Now they're looking at the situation, and I don't think... Oh, sorry, my cabinet turned on, and it just... Sorry, and I thought someone was talking behind me. Like, literally mid-sentence... The Dragon's Lair turned on. I'm going to have to get up and turn that off now, just the sound. Anyhow, back to the conversation. Why do I think it hasn't really increased, from what we understand, it hasn't really increased subscriber counts. It hasn't done anything beyond that. It hasn't given it the growth that they were expecting or wanting, because I bet you that they made a stipulation to Phil and said, listen, you could put it into Game Pass, but we're hoping to see X, Y, and Z in terms of the numbers coming in. Right? And like, we need a minimum 15 million more subs or 10 million more subs or whatever from that. Otherwise, we're going to have to pull it at some point. Now, Netflix does this. Amazon Prime does this. What they do, by the way, their metrics are based differently when it comes to a subscription service as opposed to sales. So what happens is, for example, let's say your favorite show on Netflix, it gets canceled after 2 seasons, but you really liked it. And you say, why do they keep canceling shows? Because the stipulations based around that and the business model is new subscribers based on who's tuning into that show, and that's the metric they utilize. So if, for example, they get 5 million new subs, but those people did not tune into, I don't know, let's say Yellowstone Rangers or whatever, right? Like the new the new Taylor Sheridan show. Then they'll look at that and say, well, we got 5 million new subscribers, but only 500,000 watched Rangers or whatever the heck it's called. So you know what I mean? So you look at something like that, and then they say, well, we can't renew after that because you're not bringing in the crowd. Same thing was happening in Call of Duty. It's the only reason why I brought it up. So that is the metric that they're using for that. How many new subscribers? And they know, obviously, they're a company of metrics. They know exactly how many people downloaded it. They know how long they're playing on it by the minute. And so they know how many people are engaging in that way. Whereas a lot of people still, even on the Xbox and PC, are purchasing Call of Duty. Marshalls, thank you, Anthony Robinson. What was I saying, Rangers? So that's what it is. And so they look at that and they're saying the numbers are not there. And maybe that's an option for them to scale it back $5. I'm not saying that's for sure, but if they want to get that goodwill and get that out there, say, listen, we're going to scale it back to $25 instead of $30, but Call of Duty's no longer there. I don't think you're going to get some people who are going to raise a stink. Obviously, you're going to get people who are going to freak out and whatever for a couple days. And I think that everybody will calm down after that. And I think that everybody deep down inside knows that that's a prudent financial decision. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, and I never quite understood the calculus of how they got to the point of wanting to do it. And funny enough, I remember telling people, I said, I really do feel like Phil and Satya have been at loggerheads for years. Like, I feel like Phil was fighting for the soul of Xbox, stressing things. Like, in one interview, he said the word creative like 18 times. I'm like, this guy is trying to let us know, like, hey, I get it. It takes creative work to get this done. And then Call of Duty on Game Pass felt like, to me, a fight that Phil fought for. He was like, if you take that away, the soul of Xbox, like the last thing we have left, we don't do exclusives anymore. Like, the hardware and the consoles have been deprioritized. I need to be able to walk out and say this. Well, unfortunately, that led to, we've heard large sums of money, $300 million or whatever, allegedly lost, and then they've raised the prices twice now to try to probably push against those losses because people aren't buying it. And I don't know. I feel like Game Pass is going to go through a pretty significant evolution in the coming days. We could see a low tier with ads, meeting with Netflix. They do that. They have their lowest tier where you're going to see ads. That obviously would be a pretty unwelcome thing, but it wouldn't necessarily be targeting people who already have Game Pass. It would be targeting people who don't, trying to make it as affordable as possible. But putting Leviathan-like titles like Call of Duty on Game Pass, Activision was traditionally avoiding it and didn't think it was a good idea. So I'm not surprised at all hearing this. I'm not quite sure when they'll want to get the bad news out of the way, if they are making revisions or adjustments. I don't even know if they would say it. I honestly don't even know if they would say it. Part of me feels like they would just like announce Call of Duty and Game Pass would just be absent from the marketing. It just wouldn't be there front and center. I don't know if they would officially come out and say, yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
No, that would just, the optics of that would look bad, right? It's just, when you look at that, you just don't say anything at all. Yeah. And it's like, for example, like with Sony, when it came to the PC ports, and we were talking about it on a couple of shows ago, and I said they don't actually have to say anything at all. All they have to do is just not do it. That's it. And then eventually people just kind of get used to it, and they're like, oh, okay, I guess, well, so obviously they're going to remove the candle from the window waiting for Wolverine. Eventually they'll just be like, I guess it's not coming. So the best option is to actually just not say anything and just have it there. It might have to be addressed at some point on social media because people are going to be badgering them or whatever. But if you just leave it absent of marketing, I think that actually is just an okay plan, because at that point you're not going to get that blowback. And then, of course, people do. They're going to clip it. They're going to whatever, say, look what she said or look what he said. And there it is, the death of Xbox again or whatever, right? So I think at that point it's just, you're right. Just omit it from the marketing, from the talk or whatever else, and just leave it at that. And then, but it would have to be addressed at some point, because I have a feeling like a week before they're like, hey, I can't download Modern Warfare 4, where is it? And then it'll eventually come out, right? So I don't know. Yeah, they're right. The Wolverine candlelight vigil. Your chat is hilarious today, by the way. I just like to point it out. Everybody had their extra large coffees today, because every time I look at the chat, someone's got something hilarious to say.
Yeah, so they're wound up. They're wound up.
My goodness!
I did not tell them we were doing this either, so they're excited to have a guest on the show. And guys, if you want to be a part of this show and get almost guaranteed engagement as a member or a sub, you can use the question command. And my producer's already done that this morning, trying to show you guys how to get inserted into the show. He said, what do you guys think of Ed Fry's comments on the Helix being very close to the original version of the OG Xbox? So if you guys missed this, he sat down with the expansion pass and was talking about how Project Helix at some level is a return to the original plan, where the original plan, he says it was very similar, or it's very similar to what the original Xbox plan was, not the Xbox we shipped. So he is specifying here, not the one they shipped, but the original plan was for it to be running PC, like a PC running Windows. And it was basically just a PC that looked kind of like a console and pretended it was a console, but it really was a PC underneath. And what we ended up shipping was somewhere in between. So this has been, I think, at some level, a needless debate. Thank you, 8-Bit, for 37 months. But it's like, I like, people get really upset. They're like, it's a console. I'm like, but it isn't. Like, it's going to be a PC that you can load into the Xbox mode. And I actually don't think that's a negative. I actually think that's a positive, that you're going to get a more robust device for your living room. And obviously price point's the big question because of what they're shipping here. Where did you land on the whole PC console debate with Helix? Because to me, it does sound like this is a PC you'll load into the Xbox mode. There's nothing wrong with that, but that does seem like the distinction that I would make.
Right. I actually didn't take a side on it, and the reason why I didn't take a side on it, I wanted to go from the consumer's point of view, so that's where I kind of stand, because at the end of the day, regardless of what I do here on my channel and of course with you here now and on this platform, I'm still a consumer, which means I still have to go to the store and buy one of these things at one point or whatever, or get it sent to me. Not for free, by the way, folks, okay? I have to pay for it, but either way, I'm just saying is that I'm a consumer. So I look at it from 2 points of view. How much does it cost? What does it offer? And that's the way I'm looking at it. So I'm like, you can call it whatever you want. It's totally fine. And I'm not going to demonize one or the other. One guy says it's a console. One guy says it's a PC. I understand what you're saying, Lono. You're absolutely correct. Because at the end of the day, these consoles are essentially a closed platform PC at the end of the day. And that's just the way it is. And so I understand all that. So, but for me, I'm looking at it from the point of view of how much does it cost? What does it do? Because that is what's going to literally govern the next 5 to 7 years for them in terms of that hardware, because it all comes down to that accessibility, price, and what does this thing do? Zubair, you almost made me choke on the microphone. He just says we have to be funny. Lono is not that entertaining.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, you guys are so hilarious today. So yeah, so the thing is that's what it all boils down to. Because like I said, you can offer the world, but if you offer the world that doesn't agree with your wallet, well then you're not selling it. Right? So these are important things. Now, in terms of services and what it offers, I think that that's a good thing. Now, I actually had at one point a little bit of a crossroads where I said, I'm only getting one, I'm not getting both in terms of the Steam machine and a Helix. Okay? And so my thought process was this. I was saying to myself, okay, I don't game on PC. I don't. I have a capable PC to do all that gaming. I just don't do it. I utilize it for YouTube because I wanted the horsepower. So I have it there. It's ready to, it does its thing. I don't play on it. I said, do I buy a Steam machine so now I have access to Steam and then just keep my series consoles for, they're going to support it into the 2030s. There's no question about it. And then at some point, it's going to become an accessibility machine through cloud. That's the way it's going to run. So I'm like, do I keep the series consoles and then buy a Steam machine, or do I buy this Helix, which is going to cost more, but I can get rid of the series consoles, I can still have access to Xbox, and I can have Steam, presumably, by the way, Steam. No one's come out and said it yet, but either way, let's just say it is. Then I'll have Steam there as well. I said I might as well go with that Helix. So I'm looking at it from that point of view. But anyways, in terms of what it's called, I don't really care. I just need to know what the price tag is, and I need to know what this thing can do. And I think we're going to hear about it sooner rather than later, because as we started the show with today, the fact that they're sending out hoodies and whatever else means they're going to talk about it. I think that's what's going to happen. And I think that I'll be in LA this year for the Xbox showcase, and I'll be there for Games Fest. I may not get into the Fan Fest, the Xbox Fan Fest, but I'm certainly going to get into the I got tickets for Keeley show, so I will be there for that. So I think they're going to talk about it there. Because, I don't think it doesn't seem like the kind of thing is like, here's a hoodie. We'll talk about it in 17 months from now. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like you know what I mean? It seems like they're building towards something.
I feel like it's going to be like the Project Scarlet thing they did at E3 2019, where they're going to be interviewing a bunch of people that are close to the project, talking about their targets, and then next year they'll do the reveal, and I think they're hoping to have this thing available 2027, late 2027. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if that Mag is correct. They're sending out these hoodies and these swag boxes because more than likely they're thinking, okay, these people are going to be coming to the event and doing the things. And that's a big one over there on Twitch. Thank you, Cardoc Ren, for 10 gifted subs. That is incredible. You guys are off to a great start. I do need to get that added to the scene so I can track everything for you guys. I'll do that here in a moment. Well, because I want to get Mag to weigh in on something, because the price point and the ship date is, big question marks. So we can set that to the side. I think it's probably late next year. It's not going to be inexpensive. It'll probably be $1,000 or more. Do you think the Steam machine and Helix weighed in or were contributing factors or something to the decision that we're hearing from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg that PlayStation's like, hey, we're backing off taking our tentpole titles to PC? Do you think at all Helix and Steam Machine were in the room and kind of tipped the scales here? Because I I don't think they were the primary cause, but I definitely think they tipped things away. And it was like, you know what? This isn't worth it. This is going to be diluting. Thank you, John Rodriguez, for 18 months. So on the subject of Helix, do you think it played a role here at all, as well as Steam Machine?
100%. 100% it did. And what they're trying to do now is they're closing the ecosystem. And listen, good for them. That's their business move. I know some people don't like it, but I'm like, hey, listen, man, it's their business, not ours. And they could choose what to, how they want to run it. Now, if you choose to engage in that business, that's entirely up to you as a customer. But for me, I think it's the smartest business move. If I was in charge, I would 100% do the same thing, because what ends up happening is you're going to, just as you said, you're diluting the product, but you're pulling people away from that PS6, let's say, okay, and you're going to pull people away from it because now they're going to sit there and say, hey, I'm going to play the waiting game. So now you're going to have people on Steam to begin with PC. You're going to have the Steam box machine, and you're going to have the Helix, and you're going to have 3 different groups of people all waiting for whenever a Sony game decides to drop over on Steam. So when they start doing that, all of a sudden, they're not going to be buying those PS6s. You're not going to get those eyeballs on the store, because that's what it all boils down to, folks. And that's the one thing I've always been adamant about. And I try to tell everybody that it has nothing to do with plastic boxes so that you can argue online of who has more boxes than the other box. No, it's always been about the storefront. And when you have the storefront, you got people in front of it, you sold them on one game, well, then now they're staring at that storefront for X amount of years. So every time they say, well, I got this game now, what else have they got cooking over here? And so you scroll over to PS Plus or Game Pass, depending on what you purchased, right? And then you go to the store. Or you're playing, your kids are playing Fortnite, maybe not anymore, I hear it's not doing as well, but either way, you want to get that new skin? Well, you're buying it on the console that you just purchased, right? And so by doing this, you're gonna ensure that at least the beginning of that PS6 generation, I know they're gonna support the PS5, and there will be a lot of that too, where a lot of people are going to be, the people that bought a PS5 this year and PS5 Pro this year for like GTA, they're not gonna run out 11 months later and buy a PS6. They're gonna carry that on for the next 4 or 5 years, but you want them locked in to the storefront, and that's where it's so important. And so if you start muddying those waters with the Helix storefront, the Steam storefront, the Steam Machine storefront, and they're not paying attention to your storefront, well, then you're losing those sales. And that's where they make their real bread and butter, is on those microtransactions, the other sale, the other sales, the 30% on third-party games. That's where they make all their money, and they will continue to do so. This year for Sony, I said it earlier this year. Some people, didn't like I said it, but I said they're going to have a banner year this year. Now, the price increases on the hardware for this year may dampen that a little bit, but I said for the most part, they're going to have a record year, because those 30% cuts that they're taking from Call of Duty and GTA 6 alone will be able to basically pay for the PS6 and their PS7 R&D for the next 10 years. That the money they're going to be making from those 2 titles, and they don't even have anything to do with it. All they're doing is an offering on the storefront. But like I said, you can have those other people playing that waiting game. And when they play that waiting game, I'll wait for Wolverine. We saw it. You saw it. I'm sure you saw it on social media when they released the first Wolverine trailer. What did everybody say?
Yeah,
I can't wait to play it on my fill in the blank.
Yep, on their PCs. It was a common debate point. I remember people were constantly kind of talking about the fact that, like, well, I'll just wait. And I said, I don't think necessarily PlayStation was too bothered by that. But my main thought was, once you have branded PCs, branded boxes in the living room, like a Steam Machine and a Helix are branded. It's not just a random PC in a Linus Tech Tips video or an Austin Evans video. It is a branded device. And I think that dilutes it. Now, we've got a thought here from Zubair on this. And Creature, thank you for renewing your member. He said it can't be a tie. YouTube's now beating Twitch. Take that, Twitch. Zubair says price, performance, and perception will matter. It's novel and complex. That's our thought, too, is I don't think this thing's going to be high volume saturating the market like a traditional console. I think Helix is going to be a little bit more of a niche, high-end purchase where you're not going to be seeing people kind of like clamoring to buy one at the price point and with the pain that it solves. But the other thing to consider is the thing you were just talking about with storefronts. Where is Xbox's goal then here with a device that won't really make you use their storefront? Like, what?
That's important. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to hand it back to you. Like, how in the world? How do they make money on this thing if it's basically a PC where you can just load up your Steam library and ignore Xbox entirely?
That is something I've been talking about from the moment they started, speculating, because it's not confirmed yet, that you'll have those other storefronts in there, like your Battle.net, or you have your Steam and everything else, whatever. I'm not a PC guy, so I don't really know all the different storefronts and the launchers and all that. But either way, let's talk about Steam specifically. They have way better sales than everybody else does, right? And if you're offering the same products, how is that going to work? And I could tell you with absolute certainty that Gabe Newell is not interested in sharing. Okay, he's not going to sit there and cut a deal and say, "Oh, well, for any third-party game that the players buy on Steam on your Helix, I'll take 15, you take 15." That's not happening. Gabe is in a position where he doesn't have to do anything. He could just say, no, I'm just going to run my business as per usual, and that it's take it or leave it. And if you don't want to feature it on there, well, people will be able to access it through the internet. So it'll be sort of an incidental access through Steam or to Steam from that Helix just by using the internet, right? So they said they could do that instead of actually having like an app or a tile on your Helix. And so I don't think he's interested in any of that. Now, he doesn't have any animosity towards them, that I know. But at the same time, why bother? So now people are going to look at those options, and you're going to say, okay, well, there's this storefront that has whatever, Assassin's Creed Black Flag for infinitely cheaper than it's selling on the Xbox storefront, and then they're going to buy it there. Xbox gets nothing. So what exactly are you doing there? So the other thing is that also turns it into a rat race for essentially, Lono, a race to the bottom of who can offer the best prices, which would be great for the consumer, but at the end of the day, it's going to be hurting your margins. Because if they look at Steam and say, oh, well, you know how like when you used to go to a store and they say, bring in a coupon and show me what the competitor's charging, we'll match their price kind of thing. So you could start doing that. And again, that brings you to a race to the bottom. And then, of course, margins suffer significantly. So I still am trying to understand the reasoning behind why you would offer multiple storefronts. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Visual Walk. It's my Canadian accent. I said Gab. Gabe. Yes, Gabe Newell is just the way I say it. Ask me to say about. I say about, not a boot, by the way.
Good.
Sorry, carry on.
No,
it doesn't make sense, Lono.
It doesn't, because it dawned on me, because people were talking about it, and I said I actually want one, but then I said the reason I want a Helix has nothing to do with Xbox. I want a Helix so that I could have Steam in my living room. Like, right. I'm literally buying a Helix so that I can access a completely separate storefront, which is why I'm kind of hoping the Steam machine, gets announced, we get a price point, and then I'm going to buy one for this year, because there's a handful of these AA titles that come out, these indie titles like Mugenics and Slay the Spire 2, and Hades 2 is coming to console this week, tomorrow. But for a while, you couldn't play Hades 2, right? If you wanted to play Hades 2, you had to play it on PC or Nintendo Switch. And so it is an interesting thing within the strategy, because there's other rumblings within this subject of things we're hearing. Jess Corden saying he's hearing that Xbox is lowering, or Microsoft is lowering, those profit margin expectations for Xbox to give them some of that freedom to invest in features and things that might not be as profit driven, which
Correct.
They're bringing back FanFest. Asha Sharma's out here, really, really trying to get the public to buy into her as the new head of the division. And then you've got these Project Helix swag boxes going out with hoodies and the like. And now we're hearing, there's a margin shift. How much credence do you give? Like, are they trying to shift this back in their favor? I feel like they've lost a lot of goodwill and a lot of loyal fans over the years. Is this an effort to kind of get back to that? And what on earth would they be developing that's not profit focused, I guess, would be my question.
Yeah, they are 100% doing that. They're lowering the margins, and they're offering a little more breathing space for Asha to be able to execute her plan and her idea. As I previously mentioned, she was already in talks with Satya months before it was even an announcement. So she already had something in place. She has a track record. I do like her. I do like her in the position, and I think she's great for the position. She was chosen for a reason, not only because she's wicked smart, but also because she's not in the gaming industry. And I really like that because she's now going to focus on the business side of it and look at it objectively, as opposed to, well, I don't want to do this because, so-and-so who runs this studio is my best buddy and we used to code together in the 90s or whatever, right? And so, like, she's not involved. So now she's looking at it from the outside and says, okay, here's the problem. Here's the issue. How do I fix this? And doing that from a third party, POV, so to speak, perfect. And that's why I like her there. Now, these moves that have been happening are, so far, so good. And so there's not always great news, but there's not always going to be great news. I mean, this is, that's just the way it's going to be. However, it's trending in a positive direction with what's going on over there. And I think that they have loosened the leash a little bit to allow her to run. And I did hear that from multiple people. By the way, someone also reached out to me about the PS6 Lite while you and I were talking. And I think you and I may speak to some of the same people. So,
okay.
So, it basically confirmed what you had already said.
Okay.
That it was just a prototype kind of thing. Anyways, back to this subject. So
I'm going to try something really quick. I'm going to switch us to Eastern region, and then you can continue. There, I was getting a teeny tiny delay. I'm going to see if that doesn't fix.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I think it was just a regional thing. Could be a Canadian thing. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm Ethernet connected with fiber optics, so I mean, it's as fast as it gets up here. So.
Oh no, that fixed it. You're right back locked in. So it's probably not you. It's just Discord. Discord has become.
They've been a little funny lately.
Yeah, they can get a little bit of latency there. Sometimes you got to jar its memory. So. Yeah, I mean, on that subject with Asha and the changes that you're seeing, maybe also speak to. There's a lot of hopeful fans thinking, and have you heard anything about this? That we're going to see exclusives come back, like they're going to announce some exclusives this summer, which I'm a little baffled as to how that would even work with everything they've done. So maybe add that in a little bit with the
Sure.
spice of the meal you were cooking there. Like what's going on with exclusives here? Because we're hearing some rumblings. There'll be some announced this summer.
Here's the thing when it comes to exclusive. If they decided to go down that, well, actually, this all ties into what, her business plan for what's moving on in the future. But again, loosening that leash, allowing her to run a little bit and saying, okay, here's your opportunity. We'll give you 18 months. Or whatever, 2 years, and you've got to do this, this, and this, and you've got to hit these numbers, you got to hit these profit margins. I have a feeling, I'm going to go back to this profit margin thing for a second, and this is just a gut feeling, and only because I've literally seen it before when I used to be an executive. And I've seen it with my own eyes, and what they call it is corporate squeezing, okay? I know that sounds kind of fun, guys, but it's not as fun as you think it is. Corporate squeezing is they put someone who they want out because maybe they don't see eye to eye. Maybe their ideals and business models do not line up with what the board wants or what the investors want, that kind of thing, right? And so what ends up happening is they put you in an almost impossible financial situation to be able to produce, and one of two things are going to happen. They have grounds for termination, or they squeezed you out the door, which hence the term corporate squeezing. I think that's what they were doing with Phil. And like I said, I cannot confirm that, but I've heard that from multiple people that they were not seeing eye to eye, and they were doing. There was a lot of fighting going on in there. There were a lot of HR visits with him and Sarah Bond, and of course Sarah Bond was more representative of the board side of things, where he was not. He was considered to be more of a renegade as opposed to towing the line. And so I think corporate squeezing happened there in order to move him out the door. I think by the time they got Asha in there and said, okay, this is what we want to do, and this is no bad blood or anything like that. That's just the way it goes. In the corporate world, it really is dog eat dog, right? And that's the way it goes. And it's not like he didn't leave without a gigantic bag of cash that makes him smile. I just saw him the other day. He's like, yeah, I'm snowboarding now, right? So like he's happy, okay? He's having a good old time. I saw an interview with him just yesterday. And so, he's doing all that fine. Those profit margins, I think, were never supposed to be realistic. I think it was just trying to push him out the door. So that is what and like I said, the only reason why I say, well, Meg, do you have anything behind that? Well, yeah, because I've literally seen it dozens of times myself. And the funny thing is, they've tried it on me. They tried it to me. And you know what the thing is? I performed, which actually bothered them even more, which is kind of funny. But I left anyway. But the point is that they do that. And so that's what I saw there. So this loosening of the margins or lowering the margins, I think was just a temporary measure in order to change the leadership that is going to be more in line of what Satya, the board, and the investors wanted. Okay, that's what I think happened. Now, that being the case, let's get on to this whole thing about exclusives. The possibility, this is a very, very, very early possibility that Gears E-Day may not hit PlayStation day one, and it's not because of Xbox's whatever making moves and this. No, it's just because what's happening is the word is that optimization for the series consoles was taking longer than they wanted, and therefore it pushed back the PS5 release of the game. This is not confirmed, and this is not 100% whatever, but I would expect you may not see it on the PlayStation day one. It may be a few months later. Very similar to the Forza Horizon situation, right?
Yeah.
So again, they may work it out by then, and they may be like, oh, you know what? We ended up getting it on time, release it on everything. I mean, that would make the most sense to me, especially considering that a large component of the game is an online component, and you want engagement there, right? You want people in that. And of course, again, let's get back into the fall thing. There's going to be a lot of games taking a lot of people's attention and money away, right? You want as many people as possible to keep this game alive and moving and have a thriving ecosystem, right? So there's that. As for the rest of them, Microsoft is releasing 5 games this year. 4 of them are multi-platform. So what would... does that make any sense? And you say, oh, by the way, 4 are coming to PlayStation and whatever, but 1 is going to be exclusive, and that's going to bring Xbox back. That is absolutely not going to. That's not the reasons why, and it doesn't make any sense to me. But hold on, there is a caveat here. This is my thought. My thought is this: why not say, listen, if you want to do that, well, 2027 is the year that Asha's going to have to prove that she's got what it takes to run that company. And I'll tell you why. Because 2026, she inherited a layup. Okay? A slam dunk. When in the history of Xbox have you seen 5 flagship titles come out in 1 year? I'll tell you the answer. It's never happened.
Yeah.
The fact that they've got Halo, Gears, Forza, cue the song, everybody. Halo, Gears, Forza, Fable, Call of Duty. 5 AAA flagship titles coming out in 1 year. Asha walks in at that time, you might as well just be wearing the Superman cape because you just walked into a victory, right? You're just like, oh, this is fantastic. But they're not going to be looking at 26, dude. They're looking at 27 because 27 is going to be the proof of the pudding. That's where you're going to see whether you got it or not, because in 27 you've got State of Decay 3, probably Blade, which I expect they'll show this summer. And then what else? Right? Because all your flagships already came out. Well, then now you're going to be waiting another 5 years for those flagships to come again. So that's her time. So I'm like, all right, if you think you got what it takes and you want to make this business move and say exclusives moving on, you make State of Decay PC and Xbox, you make Blade PC and Xbox. While Call of Duty is Call of Duty, that's always going to remain the way it is. Well, then let's see you try it there. Without the flagship titles, without the big names, right? Let's see you do it there. If you can succeed doing that and moving it in a positive direction, then God bless, you've done it. But that's going to be the true test, is 27. So if you want to try it, do it as an experiment, give it a shot. I'd be like, you know what? Fine. If you think you could pull it off, I'll give you 2027 and beyond. But for 2026, I can absolutely... Oh, sorry, Clockwork Revolution. Thank you very much. I forgot that one. Yes. Thank you, chat. I appreciate it.
That one looks really good.
So you've got those games, and it says, okay, well, now cook with that. Cook with those ingredients. Because everything else this year is going multi-platform. But one more thing I want to say, sorry, and then I'll pass it off to you. There's another angle to this, is that now that you've set the precedent of making multi-platform games with those flagship titles, why would you revert back? So, like, let's say, for example, someone on PlayStation buys Gears E-Day and really enjoys it, and then you find out that, I don't know, we'll just make up a name, Gears E-Day 2, The Revenge, whatever, right? All of a sudden, you can't buy it there. So now, what's happening here? It's going to be so muddled in messaging that you're going to have to put down. If you decide to do that, you're going to have to put your foot down and say, starting January 1st, 2027, every single title made by Microsoft Publishing, which is, by the way, an oxymoron in itself if you're going to do this, will be exclusive to PC and Xbox. So if you pull that off, you're going to have to be very clear about that everything moving forward will be only over there. I just don't think it's an option because once the investors, and let me tell you something, folks, the investors know more about what's going on in those companies than some of the executives that work there. Why? It's because their money is directly involved, whereas the executives are just getting paid. These guys are putting their money in there, and I'm telling you, they have more influence than people realize. A lot of the stuff that I get from Microsoft, or whatever, are from these investors, and they tell me stuff because they hear things that nobody else will hear because they know what's coming up in the next 2 to 5 years and even 10 years down the line in terms of where they're going. Once they see that 2026 money rolling in, try and pull back.
Well,
try and say no, thanks, no, we don't need we don't need the billions.
Yeah,
we're cool. I can't see them looking at that 2026 money with those 5 big titles and turn around and say we're not doing this anymore. Because once you see that green, dude, come on.
Well, and seeing games top the charts just by being ported later, like when Forza did that already on PlayStation, Sea of Thieves was doing incredibly well. I mean, I think they saw those green arrows and said, let's chase that. Like, that's amazing that we can take property over there. PlayStation is such a big platform at this point, 90 million in circulation, and I don't see Helix pushing that needle of saturation, so exclusives wouldn't really serve much of a purpose. Like, I don't think they're trying to do that with the Helix, and I also think Matt Booty spoke to this. Matt Booty said, listen, there are going to be timed exclusives that have more to do with production than anything, like just trying to get the games ready. So I told folks, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Gears of War E-Day ends up being a timed exclusive, but it's happenstance. It's not a strategy shift. They're not going to change. And as Mag was just saying, like, you make all that money this year, you have all those games go multi-plat, you'd have to explain to the shareholders why you are changing that strategy, why you're sort of pulling things back from by the end of this year, especially with the boost from GTA 6, you're going to pull back from a platform that has over 100 million consoles in circulation, the PlayStation, to sell to the Helix, which is, like, if they get between 10 and 20 million in circulation, they'll probably be happy with that. I don't think that thing is intended to be that way. Now, we actually have something breaking that we can talk about. The Xbox thing is happening. It just broke. Windows Central's confirming it. I've even got a picture here for you guys. There we go. First look. It's called an Xbox First Look Metro 2039. April the 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific. Now, we've got an article from Windows Central here talking about it. Jez Corden saying the Xbox Showcase production team has been on a big tear this year, and another new format is on the horizon, starting with the return of Metro. So this is something I don't think we've really seen before. It's going to be called an Xbox First Look. So they're partnering with Metro to basically give this first look at the brand new Metro 2039. So that will be this Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I mean, this is sort of serendipitous to what we were just talking about. Like, this is a very, very different thrust from Microsoft and Xbox. I mean, this is something PlayStation does all the time, right? They do state of plays that has nothing to do with their property. They'll just do a state of play for, like, Borderlands. Like, they'll just do a state of play for another thing. So they're doing this on Thursday, Metro 2039. I'm actually wondering, since this is so early in the day, are we going to get a double whammy on Thursday? Are we going to get this first look, and are we going to get a PlayStation State of Play? Maybe a triple, because apparently we're also getting Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake announced on Thursday the 16th. What is going on April the 16th?
I know that would be a wild day. So much for streaming mouse PI if all this goes down, right? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, who's going to be playing that game? I'm going to be online doing watching all these shows. The thing is, maybe if the Black Flag remake does get announced this Thursday, expect to see it at the Sony show. I think that would make more sense, right? Because it'll already be, if they're already doing this little state of play. So, Sneaky Wolf, stop making me laugh. Sorry, he's making bald jokes in the chat. Either way, maybe Black Flag would be talked about at the Sony thing. Now, this Xbox First Look thing is pretty surprising to me. Now, the other thing is I have to look at the motivation behind it. So he's saying, well, why is Xbox showing Metro 2039 and they're doing this first look? Is it possible that they have a partnership and then that game would be coming to Game Pass day one? They do have a history of putting the other Metro games in Game Pass. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it the third one that ended up in Game Pass either? I'm not sure if it was day and date, but I know that it came pretty soon afterwards, right? It was on there as well. So they obviously have a good working relationship, right, with Microsoft. So maybe they drop a bomb like that on Thursday and say, here's Metro 39. They show a little trailer, a little Russian music, everybody's dancing, a couple of gunshots, whatever, and then all of a sudden it goes into play it 2026 or 2027, whatever, day one on Game Pass, something like that. That would be a big get. So I think that maybe that would be something that could happen, because otherwise, what's the motivation behind it? Just announcing the game? Like, it doesn't seem to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, well, we're announcing the game, but why would Xbox do it? Why wouldn't Metro just do it themselves? Or, sorry, excuse me, the developer do it themselves on YouTube?
I'm putting puzzle pieces together right here, live on the air. I might have it. So Jez Corden is saying he's been told Metro 2039 will also be an Xbox Play Anywhere compatible game. Maybe this is how Xbox motivates these companies to do Play Anywhere. They're like, hey, we'll flex some marketing for you. We'll do a showcase for you. You give us Play Anywhere, because Play Anywhere is at some level antithetical to what a publisher or developer wants, right? Like they like you buying the game more than once, and Play Anywhere says you don't have to. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that's part of this Play Anywhere push, is they're going to be offering a first look on your game, and that's some nice marketing. That's some nice.
That's a smart move too. That's a smart move too.
That's
prudent. I would do the same thing. I said that actually works out, that you're going to promote these other companies to do so. Yeah, exactly. I don't even have to say anything else. You already said it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But it's very interesting to see. I did not see that coming, and I thought it was pretty wild. Now, that could be something, a precedent that they set moving forward, and saying, hey, anybody else interested in this, come over here. We will continue to do that. And by doing that, what are you doing? You're flashing the green on the screen with the big X on it. You're constantly pushing your product forward at the same time. Everybody's helping everybody, and there you go. So yeah, that's a good move, and that's something that I could see. Maybe this is what Asha's leaning into, is a lot more in terms of not just accessibility, is more eyeballs on the product. And that's something. Look at this Netflix thing that they're talking about, right? Netflix is not the only one, by the way. They're in talks with another company as well, although again unconfirmed as of yet. But they're talking to another company. Well, what does that do? Why do they advertise Coca-Cola at the Super Bowl every year? Everybody knows what Coca-Cola is.
Yep.
Right? Everybody knows what Coca-Cola. Why do they even bother doing it? Why? Because there's another generation of people who've never seen or tasted Coca-Cola before, right? You're going to have a 5-year-old sitting there who's never had it before. We have to stop thinking like us in our 40s and 50s. We have to start thinking about the 5-year-olds and 10-year-olds, because they're going to be the customers for the next 25 years. While we're going to be maybe in a nursing home. Who the heck knows? But the point is that that's what you're trying to do. So you keep pushing this forward. Yes, you're pushing that product. You're pushing the accessibility, and you're pushing the awareness of your product. I think it's a smart move.
Right, and more and more, I think we are going to see maybe a shift in how Xbox and Microsoft kind of interact with third-party publishers and developers, because I think that was a distinct difference this gen, that like Mark Cerny goes to the devs, what do you want? What do you need? He builds the hardware around that. I mean, we're already seeing such positive response. People are like updating their games for PSSR. What a huge update was Cyberpunk, which I was entertained by Twitter last week, where people thought the reflections in Cyberpunk was a PC, but it was just the Pro. That was fun. But now you've got Microsoft saying, maybe we do need to lean over, like, across the aisle a little bit more and have better relationships with the third-party developers to win people to Play Anywhere. Because this gen, I feel like their posture to third-party wasn't great. It was like even Phil Spencer, I feel like I liked him. I liked the way he kind of carried certain aspects of the brand, but like the way he handled the Baldur's Gate Larian situation, I thought was really mishandled. And then there was this instinct to like blame the devs if a game came late, whether it was Black Myth Wukong with the alleged secret exclusivity deal and other things. It's like, I think that's another thing that we're seeing change here. And this week could be one of the first evidences of that. Like, no, we need to play ball with these developers and really help them and not be so like, oh, no, you got to come to us on our terms kind of a way that they kind of handled this gen.
Yeah, you put that goodwill out there, And all of a sudden, you're opening the doors that people will start to prioritize. Maybe not entirely, but like you may have some of the smaller developers start to prioritize your hardware, your platform, and therefore you get that goodwill back with the community, which I think there was a disconnect at some point, and I think a lot of people were walking away. And you're absolutely right. You brought up the one example with Baldur's Gate 3 and Phil Spencer, right? That was just one. But this is the way you do it. You build and you sort of repair that bridge, and you get those people on board. Then more people will tend to move towards you. And let's also not lie to ourselves. Microsoft has a lot of money, and so people are interested in that as well. You're going to get that funding for that new project you're working on. Well, sure, you want to be friends, but you also have to be very inviting to those other developers out there and say, hey, this is what we're doing over here. Come over here. We're going to help you out. We're going to, help each other out in business and be able to get the word out. And of course, like I said, send out that olive branch a little bit, right? And you by doing this, I think this is a smart move. Like I said, once again, it's all about optics. It's the way it looks. It's the way it looks on the outside, and that spills down to the customer too. Because if you sort of remove yourself from that as a company, then people have a disconnect with you as well, because you don't feel like you're part of the community. You're just there to, here's the product, consume product, we don't really care kind of thing, right? And you don't want that. You don't have to be buddy-buddy. You don't have to show up at an interview with a popped collar and sit there and, talk about this and that, whatever, like some of them used to do, which was disingenuous. But like at the same time, like just get out there and be able to do that. I like this. I think it's a great idea. I think it's smart. And I hope to see more of it. And the other thing is, too, for PlayStation fans in the chat, listen to this. The answer is both. Yeah, thank you. So if Xbox continues to make good moves, guess what that does for Sony PlayStation users? It makes your experience better, because we all know competition breeds excellence, right? And if competition breeds excellence, you're going to get a better product, because now they're going to be fighting for your attention and your dollar. This is important. It's important that there's a healthy ecosystem in all those different... Nobody needs Xbox to die. You don't want that. You don't want Nintendo to disappear. You don't want PlayStation to back off. You don't want this. You don't want Steam to stop doing those amazing summer sales, right? You want all these guys working together, and you want them making money. First of all, they work together behind the scenes all the time. A lot of them laugh at the console war stuff, just so everybody knows. Like openly laugh about it. It's pretty funny. So, but the thing is... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, we have a super chat coming in. Sneaky Wolf with a $5. He says, question for Mag. I've already heard Lono's take. Do you think Sony pulling games from PC has to do with Helix or the Steam machine? I'm afraid I beat you to that one, Sneaky. We asked him about that, and too long didn't read. He thinks it's a factor, that it played
big time. It is 100% a factor. It is 100% a factor, because they don't want people playing the waiting game for those games. They don't want to, on their platform of choice. They want you in the Sony store, and that is extremely important to start a generation. A generation has to start out strong. You may have dipping points. You may have sagging points where sales may not hit, let's say in between huge titles. But then you want they'll spike again when you get like your God of War Egypt or whatever. But you want them strong out of the gate. And therefore, by diluting your product into these other, having access points at 3 different access points, that doesn't help a next generation. So there you go. I hope that answered that for you, Sneaky.
Yeah, and I do think that the thought of like people that were being critical of Xbox, the last couple of years, were wanting them to die or go away. That actually always kind of frustrated me, because like I actually didn't want that. I thought, we don't want a situation where, funny enough, a news story kind of hit over the weekend that like there were contracts with Xbox because there was a concern Sony and PlayStation could become the monopoly, could become the default console. So there's like a history there of contracts that were literally made to avoid that. And thank you, Hidden Siriu. That's a big one. That's 10 gifted members for YouTube. Thank you very much, guys. Check your renewals and keep that goal going this week. But I don't think we want a de facto console. We don't want an industry where it's like, well, it's basically PlayStation or nothing else. And it unfortunately, it does kind of seem like Nintendo and PlayStation will never necessarily compete. And thank you, Haseo, for gifting as well. So I'm actually hopeful that both of the brands can stand tall and stand strong. And
yes, you want that.
And just deliver great games, because... And unfortunately, we are hearing. I saw this report, and I saw even Destin Legary was having trouble with this. Apparently, the port of Starfield to PlayStation isn't going very well, which really surprised me after all this time. It's literally crashing on people. Like, Destin was having multiple crashes he was documenting, but then I've got people in my Discord that are like, they're having no trouble at all. I'm not really sure what the root cause here is.
He just released a video. Did you see it? It just released about 30 minutes ago.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty damning here. Hold on, let me just pull it up here, Destin. It'll just give me 5 seconds here. Not Dustin, my goodness. Destin, here we are. Let's find it. He posted a video, and I gotta find it. But either way, when I do, just give me 5 seconds.
Sure. Thank you, RPG, for the member plus. While he's looking for that, I mean, that to me was obviously disappointing for fans that have been waiting all this time. That, like, you've got Bethesda fans that were wanting this game, and they're now apparently people are requesting and even getting refunds because PlayStation can see the crash reports.
Right. The video's right here. He just posted it 56 minutes ago. It says Starfield is broken on PlayStation. That's pretty bold statement. So he said that, and then of course the actual title underneath it says Starfield PS5 is so broken right now, players are getting their money back. Yikes.
Really?
So, and you know what? The thing is, we all know how Sony operates, man. Like, listen, I'm a fan of their work, and I'm a fan of their hardware and their software. But there's one thing I'm not a fan of is their customer relations is not very good. So they're very closed doors about it. So the fact that they're even doing that, this reminds me of that Cyberpunk 2027 situation where they're just like, you know what? We're not dealing with your headache anymore, and they just pulled it off the store entirely, right? So, I mean, it's a possibility that may actually be the case. Who knows? I don't know. I see some people in the chat are agreeing or not agreeing. That's fine. It's not my video. I'm just saying this is what he posted 56 minutes ago. I'm going to have to watch it afterwards and see what he says about it. So
he seems to be unearthing in an article here that it can be influenced by your graphical settings. On the Pro, they went through every mode with the frame rate uncapped. We very quickly hit crashes across all of them. So it does seem related to graphical settings. So maybe that's why some people are experiencing literally no crashes at all, and other people are. And thank you, Detective Seeds, coming in. He's dropping 10 members on the chat. Good to see you, Seeds.
Nice to see you, brother.
He was just weighing in on the PS6 Lite thing as well. Those of you that were asking us if we talked about that, we can give you a bit of a recap as well as an update. It seems the PS6 Lite was something that Moore's Law Zed was speculating about. It got turned into, he's claiming this, which is a little awkward because, like, that's typically what his content is. And so we're hearing, Mag heard from somebody that is not somebody I heard from. We heard from two different people, actually.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, the person I'm talking to was listening to the show because he knew that I was going to be on the show today. So he's obviously listening in the background. And then once you got your info about what was it, 40 minutes later, I got that message saying, yeah, he's right.
That the PS6 Lite is not a thing because the developers would be some of the first to know. And thank you, Seeds, for 41 months on the channel as well. I appreciate that. And if you guys are enjoying the show, be sure to hit the like button. This is something we're just going to surprise you with every now and again. I'm not really going to tell you when it's going to happen. You just got to be here every day. Just all of a sudden this morning I said, hey guys, I'm going to be talking about the news and I'm going to have Mag on with me. And we're approaching, just about 2 hours today and talking through all the various news aspects. And I got to tell you, the one that we haven't talked about yet is the one that has people a little rattled. They're a little rattled about this one because in case you guys missed it over the weekend, there was indeed a hack at Rockstar Games, and they're saying it did not impact the business or their customers. Nobody's affected. Players are not affected. They're not affected. But now we've got people worried that this could affect the timeline for the game. We could see either, maybe not another delay, but are they going to maybe bump up the marketing? Or are they going to push the marketing back? Which we're getting very close to those fiscal calls. We're getting very close to them. They're going to have to reconfirm this date. I would imagine since we're all the way in the middle of April, it is not getting delayed again. So in your experience, thank you, True SSJ Havoc, for 41 months. He says, Lono Mag, thanks for the great show today. Also 41 months and feeling great. Thank you, man. I appreciate that very, very much. That's very, very kind. In your experience, when this type of a leak happens, like there was speculation that the Insomniac leak affected timelines of Wolverine and other games, Venom and all of that. Mm-hmm. Do you think, in your experience, this type of a leak, it was nothing, it was like financials, it was contracts with like outsourced companies and stuff. It wasn't anything significant, no gameplay or anything like that. Do you see this having an impact at all on the release timing of the game or the marketing or anything?
Not the release time. The release time, I think, is going to be set, and that's all there is to it. You're going to get your November 19th. It's going to stay there. Marketing, on the other hand, I think will be affected, and I think that my guess is they're probably scrambling right now saying, guys, trailer 3 has to come out now. It can't wait till May because it's already going to be out there. We've already dealt with this before with that 22-year-old that got busted, in 2022 or whatever it was? Mm-hmm. With that situation, they had their hands tied at that. So, they had no choice. They had to do something. I think that it's going to move a trailer 3 up. Now, I don't think it's going to affect summer marketing where they have those breakdowns. You remember what they used to do for GTA 5? They used to have like those little half-hour little vignettes, and you would say like, okay, in GTA Online, you get to go golfing. There's a 36-hole golf course. You get to go play baseball or whatever the heck, right? You get to go windsurfing and that kind of stuff. I think that those will remain the same, but I think a trailer 3 would silence a lot of people for a couple of months. It would be enough to give people that one morsel that would basically keep everybody satisfied until the summer comes, and then they start dropping those little vignettes and those little developer talks and whatever else, right? And I think that would be enough. However, that being the case, maybe, just maybe, you may see that trailer 3 way sooner than expected. I expect to see it somewhere in the next week or so because of this situation entirely. They're probably working on the vertical slice. They're probably doing the editing or whatever, but they probably called everybody at home and said, everybody get your butts into the building right now, and we got to start editing this thing and get it out the door. Whatever you got to pay Tom Petty's family, pay him. Get the song in there. Let's get the video out. Let's get going. We need to get this out there because we have to get ahead of this thing. Because if you get ahead of this thing and the thing leaks online, well, first of all, the hackers have lost their leverage at this point, right? Because the financials are locked down. There's no way they're going to get any access to the financials. That is a non-issue. The issue is getting the trailer out before the public gets to see it because it's going to deflate the trailer. It did not deflate the first trailer because I know that a lot of us saw the GTA 6 trailer 1. We saw it a day or two before it came out, right? But it didn't deflate the general audience. It was still out there, it still had the hype or whatever else. But I think when you're getting this close to release, you got to get ahead of this, and you got to get ahead of this again because you take away that leverage from those hackers, right? And then they're sort of go, well, we released it. What are you going to do now? You've lost your power, right? You have no power here, right? Yeah. It's over. And so, therefore, I think they need to do it. And I'm excited for it. I say, hey, you know what? Maybe that was, light a fire under them, get that third trailer, but that will carry people into July. I don't think that GTA 6 was going to have any kind of a presence at the Keighley Summer Games Fest. I think that they know that they don't need to pay somebody else to do it. They could literally just go onto YouTube for free and upload their trailer and make all kinds of money off of that. They don't need anybody else to do so. So I would expect to see something about it in detail in July, and I think the trailer drops now. I think it drops. People in the chat are saying it leaked. King Slayer, you're not the first person. By the way, thank you for joining my channel. I appreciate that. You're not the first person in the chat to say that it leaked. So now this is the second person that said that GTA 6 trailer leaked. I looked it up. I can't find anything.
He's talking about trailer 1. So what happened with trailer 1? Trailer 1 was set as a premiere on YouTube, and somebody got it through the back end, and then he dropped it and he put like his crypto on the cover of it. And then they had to drop the trailer before they had planned. They had like a date and time set. And so GTA 6 trailer 1 actually had to get pushed out before they had planned because that guy got it. That's why you won't see a lot of major trailers premiere like that anymore, because once it's uploaded to YouTube and scheduled for premiere, anybody with access to the back end of YouTube can snag that trailer and give it to their friends or whatnot. So, and there has been an update on that hacking situation. The hackers have said and indicated, they told the BBC they do plan to release the leaked Rockstar Games data as the demands were not met. Now, obviously, the advice from law enforcement and anybody in the business is you don't play with these guys because you're gonna encourage more people to do it, and they can keep coming back for more. It's not like they're going to delete the files if you pay them the money. They're obviously going to hold on to them, and they're likely to get, released anyway. So yeah, I actually would not be surprised if GTA 6 Trailer 3 does maybe get bumped or come out earlier, or maybe they just completely ignore this. They acknowledge that it happened. They're like, it's not impacting the company or the players. We're just going to continue doing what we were going to do, and not pay it any mind.
I don't think it's going to affect the game, obviously. I think, everybody's going to still line up to buy the game anyhow. And what I mean by line up is, click your mouse or click your controller, because nobody's doing the midnight premieres anymore. But either way, I just saw another headline is saying that the GTA 6 leak Shiny Hunter is the name of the hacker, and or at least representing the hackers. And he says he's going to release it all in a few hours.
Yeah.
So this could happen by mid-afternoon today. So that's going to be actually incredible. So I'm not incredible in a good way. I mean, incredible, like just mind-blowing that may happen, that all of a sudden this gets out there. Because once it gets into someone else's hands, it'll be almost impossible for Rockstar to Take-Two, excuse me. It's going to be almost impossible for Take-Two to basically chase it down. You know what I mean? And shut down everybody who's got it, because it's going to get out there. And once it gets out there and spreads, forget it. Like you're trying to put out a wildfire with a bucket of water. Yep. At that point. So it's going to be a wild day if this goes down. So, wow, this is going to be crazy.
Quick thank you to Dr. Killshot for 35 months. He says, Lono and Mag, the smartest minds in YouTube gaming.
Oh, thank you.
Going a little hard with the praise there. We don't want to oversell ourselves here. Thank you very much, Dr. Killshot. And we have another thing we can break right now. I didn't know it was today. It's an awkward time for a review embargo to hit, but it's good to see as this year just continues to deliver. The Pragmata review embargo has dropped. Another banger from Capcom. It's landing as an 86 on PS5, 89 on PC, and a 93 on the Switch 2. I can't scroll down there. Very, very strong results. I was really, really pleased with the demo when I played it. I thought, I'll like this. I ended up liking it a lot more than I anticipated. So just another game, boys, that you got to figure out what you're going to play this week. Replaced Mouse PI for Hire and Pragmata. And, we also have a ton of announcements and an Xbox show and apparently a PlayStation show and an Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake this week. And Raven, thank you for 9 months and using your Prime over there on Twitch. I mean, how do you pick this week? I mean, what do you do when you have this many games coming out? Do you try to do all three at the same time? Do you pick one and then play them in order? I mean, how do you handle the beginnings of a deluge of games in 2026, Mag?
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. It's usually we get a little bit of breathing space in between games, but because I have the channel now and because I stream the games, I always try to keep it interesting, right? And so what I'm going to do, assuming that there is no actual showcase on Thursday from Sony, or State of Play, excuse me, and this Metro 2039 thing, I don't know how long it's going to be, so I may actually just pre-record that and just do like a live reaction, so to speak, in air quotes, but actually not be live, and then just release the video later. And then if Sony does a State of Play, I will do that live. But my plans for Thursday was to play Mouse PI all day when it comes out. I was going to do it like in the morning and then take a break in the afternoon, then go back to it at night. And then the plan was, because I'm getting so many requests for it on my channel, Pragmata was going to be the Friday game for sure, and do the same thing and basically stream in the morning and then have a part 2 at night and then stream again into Saturday. So that's Pragmata. Looks great. Now, I played the demo on all 3 platforms that I played. I played it on PlayStation 5, on the Pro, I played it on the Switch 2, and I played it on the Xbox. Now, if anybody hasn't played the demo, do yourself a favor. Obviously, it's free, and it's only like 30 minutes. Like, it's basically like a 30-minute demo. That's all there is to it. So it's very quick. Go in there and do it, and whatever, right? So, yeah, it's pretty wild. So go check it out. I was really impressed by it. Now, there was some complaints about Pragmata, where you have a situation where they're like, well, I don't want to hack every single robot that comes in the room. So, like, every time a robot comes in, you have to keep doing your left. You're basically doing the Konami code. It's like up, down, left, right, A, B plus, whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to do a Konami code every time I have to shoot somebody, right? Yeah. But the thing is, apparently, when you upgrade your character with your skill trees and all that stuff, it actually alleviates some of that and pulls it back, where you only have to do it once, and then everybody in the room you could take out accordingly. Now, so that's really cool. Immediately, I'm like, you know what? I'm good. That's all I needed to hear. Also, Capcom, that's all I needed to hear. I'm sold on them too. I mean, they're incredible. Their RE engine is amazing. They've been knocking it out of the park since Biohazard in 2017, and they just continue to do so. They just continue to produce excellence, and I will 100% support excellence. So yeah, Pragmata day one. Now the week after, I'm going to juggle between the two games because I have to make room for Saros. Right, because Saros is going to be a day one play on the channel as well. Have to do it, and yeah, I look forward to that. But that's great to hear. Now I'm really surprised. The thing is, the Switch 2 has a 93. There's only 6 critical reviews right now, whereas PlayStation 5 has 51. The interesting thing is that it doesn't even have an Xbox review yet. It says to be determined. It was only on three critic reviews so far. However, on the other ones combined, it has 70 reviews on the other platforms, but not enough on Xbox to actually have a Metacritic. So that's
been a
rather
continued
disappointing.
That's been a continued complaint from some of the Xbox fans, but the problem is, and Digital Foundry even spoke to this, the struggle they're running into is Xbox has a small and arguably shrinking user base, so Xbox-focused reviews and content don't do as well. They don't get as much clicks or as much interest. PlayStation sort of the lead platform, so they're going to get the most reviews almost every time because it's an economical decision. It's like, well, more people are looking for reviews because more people have PlayStations. Sadly, that is the reality for those of you that are like hoping, to get Xbox reviews. On the subject of Pragmata, I did want to say this about the hacking. I'm casual dad gamer. I'm not very good at. I'm good at some games, but certain games I obviously get skilled right out of them. Okay, and I was doing the Pragmata hacking. Sometimes I wasn't even looking. Like you could just kind of see it in your peripheral, and you could honestly do the hacking without looking directly at it, which added, I think, a layer of fun to it. Like trying to get good at navigating the grid while still sort of engaged in watching the landscape of the bots. And I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it far better than I expected. And it does look like Capcom is once again delivering excellence to the Switch 2. There is growing concern about the Switch 2. We've seen more and more games getting delayed coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. We saw that happen with a couple of games recently, and we still don't have definitive dates for like Elden Ring coming to Switch 2. We don't have definitive dates for their exclusive, the Duskbloods. I'm consistently concerned and worried that that device, people want to be on it because it's popular, it's big, and they want that third party presence. But I just don't know if it's going to be able to bring every game over there. Capcom seems to have figured it out. I mean, they're seemingly doing really good work bringing their titles over there, with RE9 getting high praise on the Switch 2, and now we're seeing Pragmata praised as well. I mean, where are you on that? Like with the Switch 2 and that, especially Duskbloods, I thought that was one of the strangest exclusive announcements I think I've ever seen. And then we saw Elden Ring on Switch 2 at the one event, and it just did not look very good. And we're consistently seeing, Borderlands 4 was delayed. There was something else recently that said that their Switch 2 version was going to be indefinitely delayed.
That is correct, yes.
I can't even remember what game it was. I feel like
there was also Borderlands 4, I think, was delayed as well on Switch. I think that was another one that was supposed to be coming.
Yeah, there was... That was the first one. There was another one, and it's eluding me now. It was just last week.
Oh, okay.
There was something that wasn't going to. It was 007 First Light. 007 First Light.
Okay, there you go.
Has been delayed. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Well, the thing is, with 2026, they actually started off pretty strong. They had that third-party Nintendo Direct, and I loved that. I loved the show. I thought it was a great show. The games looked great. Again, I've been happy with the performance of third-party titles on my Switch 2, and I've played not docked. It's funny? I actually own this thing. I've never played it docked. I've only played it in handheld mode. My kids play it docked when the neighbors come over. They play Mario Kart World, whatever, and all that. But I've only played it in handheld, and I got the Legacy Edition of Resident Evil, the one where you get you get Biohazard Village, and you get Requiem. in one package. It was like $100 and something, whatever. And that was fantastic. And all three play really, really well. Great sound, great everything, great performance. And then the Pragmata was even better. Pragmata played incredibly well on the Switch too. And that just encouraged me to start thinking about more third-party games on the Switch for when I'm on the go or whatever, right? And I'm like, I would actually do more of this. The only difference is that the only reason why I balk on that right now is because the PS Portal has the cloud streaming, where I could just utilize the cloud streaming anywhere I go, and I don't have to purchase a game again on the Switch 2 and get it for there, where I could just play the PlayStation 5 games that I'm getting, because I'm buying most of the games on Pro anyhow. I game share with my wife, right? So I get all third-party games on PlayStation. I play on the Pro, great, and I got the Portal. However, it still opens that door. But at the same time, the problem, Lono, is that there's an inconsistency in that third-party software, where you get some games that look fantastic, as previously mentioned, like you said, Capcom does incredible work. Their optimization, very, very good. They clearly know what they're doing, and but then all of a sudden you turn around, you look at other games, and you're like, this doesn't look great at all. Then you hear about cancellations, you hear about indefinite delays. So there's no middle. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground here. It's just too much inconsistency, where I'm then consider not purchasing on there until I absolutely hear otherwise, and say, you know what, I don't want to invest here if I got a 50-50 shot of getting a game that actually does not perform or look good. Right. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, that's the problem, is that you present me an inconsistency. Well, then you're not going to get my money, because there's already too many people demanding my money's attention as it is right now. Why am I going to do that? I've said this from the beginning. I said 2026, and I said this back at 25. I said 2026 is a 100-meter dash. If you even trip a little bit, you're done. You're out of the race, because everybody else is going at breakneck speed this year. They're all demanding your money. They're all looking for your attention, and you trip up even just a little bit. You stub your toe, and it's over, because everybody's going to run you over. And so, that's where they're going to lose a little bit of momentum. And I think that at this point, Nintendo needs to start focusing on that first party output, and start getting these games out there. Announce your Star Fox off the popularity of your Mario, the new Mario movie. Start talking about the new Zelda. Show the new trailer for the Zelda movie. Do whatever you need to do. A new Mario game in the works. Something to get it out there, because you seem to head in the right direction, and then you're sort of sputtering off. And then on top of that, we've also had talks. I know you talked about it. I talked about it, about how the Nintendo sales would drop simply because of price and because of output. And so they haven't. They've cooled off. And and then people are like, well, it was the fastest selling console in America. Sure, because they actually had stock. You know what I mean? We've known for like how many generations now Nintendo's had? 6 generations. They've never had stock, so of course they never were the fastest selling console. You get that 10% hardcore that will buy any Nintendo product day one. They bought it day one because they actually could. Of course, it was the fastest selling.
It was 45%. It's still 45% ahead in North America, but I don't think you're wrong. I do think it's doing well, but that slowdown is, I think, attributed to this. Where's the mainline Zelda? Where's the mainline Mario? And and the third-party problem that they're facing is going to be so case by case, because you're going to have games like Pragmata and RE9 that do the work, but then you're going to have other people that just want to be on a big platform. They just want to try to get as many sales as possible, and they're going to try to port to Switch 2, and they're going to have obvious issues. Thank you, Revertive Cloud, by the way, for using your Prime over there on Purple. And then Brett, thank you for 13 months. Says, that can't be right. I heard AAA gaming was dead. I know, this week, right? I mean, Pragmata has an 87 on OpenCritic, which is a bit more of like the buckshot of all of the reviews. 87 on Metacritic. I'm telling you, the Game Awards are going to be crazy. Capcom could be up there twice right now. They could be up for Game of the Year for RE9 and Pragmata as it stands right now. It is just a knockdown, drag-out year of releases. And fair warning, we did just mention 007 First Light a second ago. We're seeing reports that significant leaks and story spoilers are out there, so avoid those at all costs if you don't want that story spoiled for you. I don't cover stuff like that here. I'll warn you, but I will not go through those details. I don't want to have anybody's experience in that game ruined, because those spoilers are out there.
Yeah, I can't wait to play that game. I'm going to be there day one. And yeah, I don't want it to be spoiled. So I have no intention of following anything beyond that. Once I see a trailer or I even see a second trailer, I'm good. I'm good until it comes out. That's it. I'm like, all right, I got my taste. I don't need to see them talking on a beach about how they made the game and the developer things or whatever. I don't need to see them eating Niçoise salads in San Francisco while they're talking about how they made the game. I don't need that. You give me my 2 trailers, okay? Like what was it? Hellblade 2. They had them like on the beaches of like out there talking and whatever, and they're like, well, we made this game and the ocean was a big inspiration for us. I'm like, okay, cool. Can I just see the trailer and just I don't want to hear nothing else. All right, no spoilers, no story. Leaks, nothing like that. So I don't want to hear about 007. And you know what? We won't have time, Lono. Okay, we don't have time for 007 right now. There are literally 6 games coming out before that even comes out in May. And the crazy thing is, within I think it's 6 days. Someone correct me in the chat, but let me tell you something. In 6 days, you've got Forza Horizon 6, 007, and Lego Batman: Legacy of the Dark Knight are all coming out in the same week. What are we doing?
I'm just glad I don't like the racing games because I'll be able to just not really be bothered to try Forza. I know they're popular. I'm bad at them. That's largely why I don't play them. I ride the wall. Like that's my experience in those games. This is not a good game for me to play.
But is that not crazy though? And then this week alone, there's 3 games, and within not 10 days. It would be 12 days. Within 12 days, we have 4 games coming out here. We've got Replaced, we've got Mouse PI, we've got Pragmata, and Saros all coming out within a 12-day span, or actually 13-day span, whatever it is.
Where do you this may be your last time on the show? Where do you stand with Saros and Returnal? Where do you stand? No. Where do you stand with Housemarque and Saros and Returnal?
I literally said I'm playing Saros day one on the channel.
Okay,
I will be playing it day one. I played Returnal, and I understood it. And I got into it, and I'm like, this is really cool. But just like you were saying about racing, I'm just not that great at it. However, my understanding is that there are little tweaks in this one that make it a little more accessible. And I'm like, this might be the one that sells me on this kind of genre. So either way, it's already prepaid, it's ready to go, and I will be doing it on the channel day one. I can't wait, and I know you're a huge nut for Returnal, so yes. You're a big fan, and I know you're really looking forward to Saros. It could be one of your biggest games of the year, and hey, it might be for me too. It might surprise me, like Crimson Desert surprise. Well, it didn't surprise me the first 72 hours, but certainly after that, it changed my mind on that game. But anyway, that's a story for another time. But yeah, Saros, I'm definitely day one. So the only one that I'm actually putting on the back burner right now is Replaced, and it's only because I just don't have the time. That's all it is. I said, it'll just have to wait. And then, like I said, a couple of weeks later, you give it 3 weeks, and all of a sudden, you've got another 3 AAA games coming out in 6 days. It's absolutely insane.
I think on that note that the year is so full, I wonder when we're going to start to see all those dreaded delay notifications, because I do feel like developers and publishers are going to feel the pressure of the dilemma of not being great. It's almost like the tolerance for good or the tolerance for like a so-so game is going to be non-existent. Like if
that's what I'm saying
is not out of the park ready or polished, you will very, very quickly be demolished for that. For any hint of mediocrity or being like slightly average could be extremely damaging to your game this year, which is why I do think we're going to start seeing, especially the closer we get to GTA 6, you're just going to see delay announcements kind of coming out of the woodwork. So while the year is full, I also think that'll be kind of the other theme of 2026 is we will start seeing more delays.
That's what I was saying earlier. I was saying this is a 100-yard dash, and you can't afford to trip up even just a little bit. The minute you do, you're done. The race is over. Someone's already crossed the finish line, and you're going to get trampled. And there's no room for error this year. Next year, well, we'll see how next year shapes up. But, I mean, as it stands right now, it seems to be a more standard year in gaming, so to speak. We're going to have a release cadence of a few big games every quarter, that kind of thing, and it's just going to continue on in that I'd like to call it the normal trajectory as what we've seen. But this year is an absolute anomaly. And so that's why you're absolutely right. They're going to have the people looking at it and say, listen, we're fighting for everybody's attention. The last thing you want is a headline what Destin just put up an hour ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't want that kind of a headline.
No.
You're toast if that happens.
Yeah,
You know.
and especially now that we're seeing PlayStation being a little bit more willing to honor, refunds if games are having crashing problems. I know they were doing that for Crimson Desert. It was having, pretty significant problems on console for at least the first week, and now we're seeing reports of people, getting their refunds for Starfield. So I have always said I think we should be able to refund on console. The ease with which we purchase a digital item, we should be able to return it just as easily. The Stop Killing Games initiative is literally taking issues with games that can take your access away. Well, if you can take my access away, you can take my license away, then I should be able to give it back within a certain amount of time, the way they do it on Steam. And I think that would really protect us from a lot of these bad launches. But something that might protect us from bad launches is just a year that is so stuffed with quality. Nobody's going to dare to ship something that isn't ready, because you're just going to get demolished by the year. And I don't even know how Game of the Year is going to shape up now. Everybody kind of assumes it'll be, GTA 6's year to basically, cash in on every category, but the level of excellence that we're seeing, I mean, do you think GTA 6 cleans up all categories? I think it's too competitive for that.
It's too competitive for that, because you know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to look at GTA 6 as the easy choice, and just say, oh, they're going to clean house on everything. But I think that people are going to be a little bit more objective about it and say, hey, let's not forget the quality that we've gotten this year, at least even thus far, right? And you look at games like Resident Evil Requiem, they can't be ignored. They shouldn't be ignored. A game like Pragmata, I'm expecting very big things from Soros. I expect it to be an incredibly high-rated game. And so, Returnal was incredibly polished. I think that Soros is going to be a whole new level of polish when we get that game, and that could definitely be up there. There's also the Cinderella story, as they're calling it, for Crimson Desert. However, Crimson Desert, I don't let them off the hook, even though they've done what they've done, but I don't let them off the hook for releasing the way it did. And don't tell me they didn't know there were problems, because it was pretty mad. I mean, Harry Potter couldn't have conjured spells that quickly, that they knew exactly what was wrong with the game and fixed them in the first 48 hours. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's what I was literally screaming about on my channel when I was live streaming the game. They somehow heard me, and they knew that everything I complained about, they fixed by Sunday. And I'm like, that means they knew before it was released all these problems were there. That might take it down a peg or two, but you still got all these other games that are coming out. They could be incredible. Wolverine might be absolutely, one of the biggest. It could be Insomniac's biggest game ever. We don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. Gears E-Day may do incredibly well, right? And Fable and everything else in between. So there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on in there that I'm just like, you know what? I'm not sure that GTA 6 is just gonna go in there and just be like, nope. Here's the 500-pound gorilla. We're taking over. You know what I mean? And then that's it. I think that people are going to give a lot of consideration to these other games. Now, that I'm just mentioning AAA games. There are AA games out there that are also going to do well, and they're going to. And by the way, what happened to No Rest for the Wicked? Does anybody know what happened to that game? I mean,
they're doing tons of updates. I believe they're approaching 1.0, and then console will be shortly or sometime. I shouldn't say shortly.
Holy dude.
After. Yeah.
I've been waiting it's been on my wish list for a year and a half, and I'm like, what's happening here? But, anyway, there are other games like that.
If Ginger Prime's in chat, he could update us. He loves that game. He loves No Rest for the Wicked.
Ginger Prime? First of all,
yes.
Thank you for joining my channel. I appreciate that, Ginger Prime. I saw what you said earlier. And let us know what's going on with that.
Yeah, he's big on that. And it currently has an 87% on Steam, and I believe it is still in early access. I think they're hoping to hit 1.0 earlier. He says they're sprinting towards release.
There it is. Okay.
I got you covered. Yeah, I'm hopeful comes to console and the co-op, and then we're hearing difficulty settings, because my wife and I have been loving Sworn, which is like a top-down Hades clone. It's co-op. Right. We've been playing it on console, so I think we could really, really get into No Rest for the Wicked. I mean, I was disappointed we didn't get an Ori 3 from Moon Studios. They've entertained the notion, but that would likely be years away, because I absolutely loved Ori 1 and 2. So I'm hopeful that they can have a lot of success with No Rest for the Wicked and make some good money, so that the company is well funded for future endeavors and maybe an Ori 3
Please come out in 27 though. Like enough. I'm literally putting up the white flag at this point. I'm just like enough, man. Like I don't even want Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is my second favorite Assassin's Creed game of all time. I don't need it anymore for 26. Please just go to 27. I know it sounds nuts and sacrilegious for some people, but enough is enough. I can't do anymore. I'm hearing rumors now. I'm sure you've heard some of these rumors that Tomb Raider, the Legacy of Atlantis, is getting pushed out into 27. So good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm totally fine with all that. Do that with Assassin's Creed. By the way, the best Assassin's Creed ever is Odyssey as Cassandra. That's just me. But either way.
I liked Origins the best. I like that one.
Oh, okay. All right. You're the Egyptian guy. Okay, so Odyssey is number 1. Number 2 is Black Flag. And then of course all the other ones, but either way, that's I know they may it looks like they're going to be releasing Black Flag in 26. If it comes out in the next 6 months, let's say, and before the fall, then let's go. I'm all for it. Now Splinter Cell, that's a little later.
According to documentation that Insider Gaming got their hands on, Black Flag is targeting the second quarter of fiscal 2027, which would be sometime summer. But
that's fine.
With how crazy the year is, a lot of the financials have got to be a little perilous here because we know budgets are getting bigger, we know margins are getting threatened, and then there's inflation, and then there's consumers probably tightening up. And I wonder, Zubair put in chat, there's going to be some emergent things that happen from such a stuffed year. Seth Monsters with a $5 super chat says, a maggot shout out to Reforge. What's up, guys? Nice to see you. Well, thank you. I wasn't sure. I saw Seth. Maggot, and I was like, is somebody insulting me?
No, that's what we call ourselves. So there's mag. Okay. Obviously, I'm the mag, and then of course the legion of us, we're called the maggots. So yes. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the $5 super chat, and we do appreciate you guys being here for this. We've got exciting things planned for the channel, and one of those is we're going to start bringing people on the show or doing segments on a regular basis. And I don't want to keep you. I don't know how much more time you got.
Yeah, I actually do have to pretty much get going. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, we did 2 hours and 16 minutes.
We did, and I want to give you an opportunity before you leave. We'll do 2 things. Number 1, I need this year, make your top 2 to 3 games that you cannot wait to dive into because there's so many. We didn't even mention Control Resonant, and that's another one I think could make a sprint for that Game of the Year podium. So give me those top games, and then let's let people know where to find you. I am going to put your YouTube channel on the screen for this, and I will put the link in chat, guys. So while he's talking, give him some love and give him some support.
I actually, you know what? I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was expecting, just because I'm a very anxious person, and I was like sitting there stressing all morning when I got up. I'm like, people are going to hate me, and I'm sure there are. And I'm like, people are going to hate me. They're going to say all these who is this bald fill in the blanks? And we're not going to say it here, and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my goodness. But no, the love has been amazing. Everybody's been so supportive today, and really, really funny, guys. You guys are hilarious, man. And you know what? A funny chat goes a long way because it really makes the show go along great, and you have a good time doing it. So, man, let me tell you something, Lona. You've got a great group of supporters, followers. I'm obviously one of them, and it's amazing to see. And hey, listen, I wish you all the best of success and carry on. And of course, in terms of my journey, yes, I just started a year ago on my own channel. I was always guesting on someone else's channel. I started the journey on my channel now. The links are right there. I do videos. I do a couple of shorts here and there. I do live streaming of games. I do Magcast on Tuesday night. That's wild, by the way. It gets a little crazy on Magcast, okay? So I'm not as pretty as I am here, and I don't mean physically. I mean some of my voice. I get a little bit it gets a little raunchy in there. But we do the show usually about 2 hours to 3 hours, and then afterwards we go into Mag After Dark, and then we just have community talk. And another thing I wanted to do is that with the channel, I wanted to build something interesting. Like I said, listen, man, this is not just a channel of people come here, watch my content, click off, and go away. No, we're trying to build a family, trying to build a community, a strong foundation. And I'm like, you guys want to talk about, even on Madcast, I'm not even kidding, we've had full conversations about the stigma around men's mental health. Nothing about video games. We just talk about stuff like that and how important it is that we all support each other and things like that. I'm very open about myself. I have a lot of anxiety. Why do you think I'm so hyper all the time? And and I talk about it, and people reach out to me, and we do it together. We get through all these things together as a gaming community. Yes, that's our primary focus is gaming, but we do everything. We talk about everything together, and that's what we do, and that's why we're That's why we're maggots together. But anyways, this week, I will be on XNC on Colt Eastwood's channel tonight. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. That I'm the steady co-host on there, and that's 8 p.m. Eastern on his channel. My channel, 8:45 Eastern's on Tuesday. We do Magcast, and like I said, that could go on till midnight. That could go on till 3:30 in the morning. It's totally wild. And then, of course, during the week, videos. And then Friday Night Live is where I play games and stream and all that kind of jazz. And I try not to step on anybody's toes who else is out there streaming and doing my thing. But I'm working my butt off trying to get this done. I'm going to L.A., and I will be meeting a lot of people for the first time out there. So anyways, thank you guys for having me here. And thank you for all the support, and I really appreciate all the kind comments in the chat. And Lona, of course, to you, thank you for inviting me on, man. I'm totally honored. I was totally blown away that you asked me to be on. I even told my mom. I'm like, hey, Mom, this guy I listen to? I said, yeah. I said, I really like him, and he's got a lot of. I sound like an 8-year-old kid. And I'm like, yeah, he's got like a lot of followers and a great show. He asked me as his first guest, and she's like, oh, that's nice, sweetheart. That's beautiful. Right? And so I was totally jazzed to be here. So thank you so much, man. And
well, I'm glad I'm glad that you accepted the invite. We're we're putting out the feelers. We're telling, hey man, grease the wheels, give me warm handshakes. We'd love to have more people on the show because it is I think a great year to put more of those positive vibes out there. I mean, we have been critical even today. There are things that aren't perfect. There are things that we can be critical of, but there's also things to celebrate and things to get excited about. And so. I'm gonna press you just for one more answer.
Sure.
Give me number 1 or 2 game that you are looking forward to this year because you.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I was supposed to answer that.
Yeah, I'm interested.
My apologies. Of games that haven't come out, here's the one. Okay, can we just exclude GTA 6 because it's kind of unfair?
Yeah,
I mean,
just take GTA 6 off.
Let's exclude GTA 6.
That's fine.
I would have to say. The shocker is Soros. I'm so interested because I couldn't get into Returnal the same way as other people did. I think that it created more intrigue for me now. So that I'm like, I can't wait to play this bloody game. And so I'm so jazzed for that. And I think the other game that's out there, it's a tie for second place between Gears of War E-Day, which, by the way, they call it Gears of War. It's not offensive anymore, apparently. So now instead of just Gears E-Day, it's Gears of War E-Day, tied for second place, with Wolverine.
Okay.
I'm sorry I cheated. I used 3 games.
No, I love it. I said 1 to 3. That's good. That's
good. Yeah, so those are the ones. And like I said, it's because I'm not good at it. Now I want to play it even more, and that's Soros.
Well, if you have time, you're not going to. There's too many games. But if you have time before Soros comes out, you want to brush up, you want to get a little bit of your skill increase, I do have a stream I tell people to go watch. It's Returnal Gameplay in 2025. That's the name of it. And that stream, I've had so many people, they watch like the first 20 minutes. It orients them to the meta progression and some of the tips that I give them. And I've had so many people come back and they're like, thank you for this video. I've now beat Returnal. I'm a huge fan. So if you get some time, I give that a watch and see because, man, at the very least, you could kind of brush up and get a little bit sharp because Soros, the accessibility does look like they're offering more. I think Soros is going to have a higher level of intensity from what I've seen. Like, it's going to demand a lot.
All right. So, and then, listen, I'm rubbing my hands already, dude. I'm rubbing my hands. I'm in. I'm going to jump in head first. There's going to be a lot of screaming. There's going to be a lot of swearing. A lot of banging I can't pull my hair out because there's nothing left. I might bang my head on the desk, whatever it is. But we're gonna get through this, and I'm making it my mission to get really not only just roll credits on this thing. I want to conquer this game, and that's why I'm looking forward to it more than anything else. Because anything else, I could just go in there and play Lego Batman. That's easy street. I can go in and just play 007 and just follow the story. I know what to do in GTA 6. But this is something that has got me so intrigued that I can't stop thinking about it. And I can't stop watching trailers about it and gameplay. And I'm like, you guys have got me. And so that never would have happened. It wasn't even on my radar, but now it is. And it's my most anticipated for the year. So there you go.
Well, we're going to probably have to do a segment then. We'll do something. We'll circle back. There are people saying don't do Returnal. Go in fresh with your own perspective. Maybe we could circle back and do a show on Soros and see how you landed.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
Really,
just have a conversation like a few months later and say, hey, I lost 7 years off my life, or this is the greatest experience of all time. So we're going to have to just wait and see. So I'm really interested, but either way.
Well, I don't want to keep you. I appreciate you so much. You've been so gracious, guys. Those links are in chat. I'll put them there one more time. Check them out. The Mag Show on Twitter. Yes. I'm going to keep hanging out with you guys. You don't go anywhere. We're going to say goodbye to Mag. Mag, you take care. Have a great day.
Enjoy the GTA 6 leak waiting room because Lona, you're going to be on the air for the next 8 hours. So enjoy that. When I'm getting ready for bed, he's still going to be on the air doing the waiting room for the GTA 6 leaks. But anyways, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. And chat, you guys are so amazing. Everybody, enjoy the rest of the show. Have a great day. We'll talk to y'all later.
All right. Take care. Well, that was a blast, y'all, and we love surprising you with that. That was fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. We got more in store for you. I'm not going to tell you what and when, but make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that bell button is hit. You don't want to miss these shows. You never know who might be on. You never know who might show up. So stay subbed, stay active. Let's get that like count to 400. You guys have been slacking, man. I didn't get to harp on you today because I was hanging out with Mag. What a great guy, and honored to have him on. Be sure to check him out tonight on XNC with Cold Eastwood, and appreciate him taking the time to discuss things. Very cool. You guys bounce off each other very well. I appreciate that. I think when I'd seen him and I'd seen clips, and he and I had interacted in DMs a couple times, I was like, I bet you we could have a really fun time in a show. He is a little bit older than me, right? We have similar gaming background, though. He started with Pong, I started with Pong, and then Coleco. So we have that commonality, those 80s gamer years. And Siege Master, thanks so much for a gifted. Strong start to the week. We're already at 60 members, guys. We're going to be trying, obviously, to get to that 500 to unlock Saturday with Madam. Too Thirsty with a big super chat, $20. This morning stream reminded me of the long hair Lono days, and a 5-bomb comes in from Siege Master. We are 10 away from 75, where I will owe you guys 3 members. I have actually no idea who hit the milestones, because in the middle of that show, I couldn't keep track of it. So whoever wants to snag the 10-bomb dunker at 75, we'll just make that the first one that I owe. I have no idea who I owe. When I came in, I thought Lono was doing a reaction. I was like, it almost sounds like a real conversation. I was confused for a minute. We'll update the layout to the overlay to have like their name, because I think that makes it a little bit more clear that he was a guest. We put the scenes together this morning. Creature, thankfully had those images for me ready to go, and we're also working on something for you guys tomorrow. I've got a really great surprise for you, an upload. So I'm very excited to share that with you. That's all I'm going to say, but that's tomorrow. And we were working on that as well. And Shane, thank you for the $2 super chat. I got to tell you something, guys. I need a quick break, and I'll be right back. And we'll break down all the news. If you guys have thoughts or questions for me, use the question command and the super chat. And my man Mag says, let's cap it off with his own 5-bomb. The man's a guest on the show, and then he gifts some members. And thank you, Omar, for 41 months as well, and gets us to 71. Keep it going. Super chat some questions or use the question command. I'll have some things to answer when I get back. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I hate to dash like that after such a good segment, but I was dying. And thank you, Haseo, while I was gone, gifting a member, getting us to 72 on the week. Nice strong start to the week. And guys, we need 50 more likes for 400. You guys have been crushing it. Haseo is going to slow walk this one to 75. Rye says that was cool. Next time, would you mind putting their socials this way so I can follow your guests? I did put his YouTube in the chat. It's just youtube.com/themag, 2 G's. Omar with 48 months. Sorry. Here's a milestone for you. Good show this morning. That's a good format for the channel. Thank you so much. Get this number. Did I not add you, Omar? We're at 74. Did I forget to add you to the total, Omar? At least the chair's on time. That's right. We got rated. Who rated us? When did we get rated? The title is also linked to his channel. Next time that will run very different, says Creature. Here in my sub today. Yeah, we might have him linked because I went and changed the... Oh, Chrono rated us. Thank you so much, Chrono. Yeah, I put him on the thumbnail. I updated the thumbnail after we went live. Hopefully he's okay with that picture that I used. He's looking like he's ready to fight. I just went and snagged that from his Twitter. I redirected. Thank you, Chrono. I appreciate that, guys. Make sure and check out Chrono on all the various places he streams. I think he streams on like Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And thank you, T-Man Grove, for 55 months and gets us to 75. You left for your kitten bladder. I was a little distracted this morning. I drink so much water before I have my coffee because it's so much better for you to do that. And man, oh man, we got near the end there, and I was like, oh, I need a break. So I appreciate you guys being positive and supportive and making that segment enjoyable. I updated the title. Okay, yeah, I had the thumbnail and I updated that. Oh yeah, featuring the mag. Yep, he is in the title of the YouTube video. And we did have a lot of people that were coming in for GTA 6. It's hard to cover GTA 6. Like, anytime you put GTA 6 in the title or the description, you get like a high amount of search volume for it. And when that happens, you get all these people that come in, and if you're not talking about GTA 6, they're obviously probably a little bit annoyed. And it was like, there wasn't much to say. I mean, honestly, there wasn't much to say other than that there was a hack, and it doesn't seem like it's going to affect anything. Hopefully it doesn't affect anything. And I mean, there were so many news. Afterwards, the collab feature also helps, as it will show up too. Yeah, I should be able to send that collab invite to him. We've not done that yet. We've been on the receiving end of that. So there is so much there is so much to do and play and cover this week. I mean, we have the Xbox thing on Thursday. We have we're apparently hearing, that the Assassin's Creed Black Flag thing is going to be announced. Now, Nate the Hate said that he's going to... I'm sorry, Ubisoft is going to do that. Wait, we missed Haseo's 5-bomb? And Haseo drops a 5-bomb and gets us to 80. Thank you so much, Haseo. Let me go ahead and gift one to YouTube. They got the 75 milestone. And thank you, Twitch, for hanging in today as well and doing your resubs and adding to the total. We are officially 20 members away from being on pace for the week. You want to start the week with 100 on Monday if you guys want to make that goal for Saturday. If you're a creature need help, I'm sort of an expert. Yes, you send many of them. We appreciate it so much, Ginger. And there is the gifted member that I owe you guys. And we appreciate you so much. And Ginger, unbelievable, just dropping the 20 bomb that says, hey, we're not going to miss the goal this week. We didn't do the Saturday stream. Madam and I didn't do it. We had 2 nights off in a row. We have been loving Sworn and having such a good time with it. We're getting really, really close. We beat King Arthur twice now as the dragon. You got to do the boss rush before you fight him, and then you fight him as a dragon. And then we're going to have to do the thing with the crown where you fight like this other lady or something. And I think that's like the official, win or credit roll on the game. We will be doing that. So we have a Metro reveal, and that is a very, very generous member bomb. Thank you so much, Ginger. And guys, we are working on a member goal on the channel. We, more paying members than gifted members is always the thing we're focusing on. So if you can help us get to 600 paying members, just click that join button. It's $5 a month, and you get a badge and emotes, and you get into the Discord. So yeah, let's see if we can't get an answer here about this. How do you... I absolutely hate the way that Twitter does embeds now. I can't go to this video. I can't go to it. It's not possible. It's a YouTube video in a tweet, and I can't go to it. Mag should be a regular. I like him. Sworn, you mean scorn? Yes. As I incorrectly called it, sworn so many times. Yeah, we would gladly have regulars on the channel. Let's see here. Metro 2039. Let's see if we can't find this thing. Here it is. Let's see if we can get a description. It's going to be a live... No, it's going to be a premiere. It premieres in 3 days. And it says here... Xbox is thrilled to partner with 4A Games and Deep Silver to reveal the first look at Metro 2039, the next installment in the Metro franchise. Okay. It doesn't say how long it is, but it is a premiere. So I would guess as a premiere, at most 30. It's probably somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes. Ballpark is typically where something like that would likely land. That'd be my guess. Looks like Lono's not taking the weekend off. You're going to be in the chair for sure. I mean, it's a good start. I mean, hey, this is a very good start. It's Sworn Couch Co-op. It's on sale, but it says co-op is online only. I don't think we've tried couch co-op. I don't know if you can do... I don't think you can do local. Oh, I said 41 months. I'm sorry, Omar. I am sorry that I misread that. It is. It's 48 months. And, yeah. That's a lot of months. You guys have been crushing it. So many of you guys have, 4 years and more in support on YouTube. And I greatly appreciate it. Those Pragmata reviews, oh my gosh. It just sounds so good. It sounds so good. The people are giving it very, very high praise. Man, oh man, it's just we're swimming. We are absolutely swimming in games. I don't think it's split. I don't think it does split. I think there's too much going on for local co-op in Sworn. It's pretty chaotic. It would be tough to play it local, I'll be honest with you, because Madam and I split up a lot in boss fights especially. So, rookie numbers, thank you so much. Mr. Biatch with 55 months. That's a lot of months. And a $2 super chat from Shane Gill. Shane, we appreciate you continue to do super chats, man. That's like your second or third one this morning. I appreciate that very, very much. Good to see you feed over there in the Twitch chat. Capcom is indeed killing it, boys. So it seems that It seems that the PlayStation 6 Lite story is a non-starter. I don't know how that happened. That seems a little uncharacteristic of Moore's Law is Dead to put up a spreadsheet like that. And 60 months, he says, still rookie months. Vendetta comes in. Vendetta beats with 60 months. That is so many months. Thank you very much for that commitment and that support all these many months and years, dude. That is so kind, man. We need more and more folks grabbing those memberships like that, and we appreciate it greatly. I don't know how I feel about Pragmata. I want to get it, but then I don't. And then a member plus from my man Dark Taco, 40 months. I put 12 hours into a 30-minute Pragmata demo that you can speedrun in 9 minutes. My body is ready. Let me add it to the total, 103. Thank you so much. Yeah, the thing that surprised me about Pragmata was the combat. I was very, very won over by it. Bigger number better. 61 months. Zubair with the one-up with the 61 months. That is so many months. Thank you so much, Zub, coming in. We did our best during that segment to include you guys in the conversation, in the podcast. That segment's designed to be a co-host segment where they're on the show with me. We're talking through the news. We're talking to you guys. If you guys felt like that was, a good feature and a good element of it, just make sure you're here all the time. Show the support for those. And Bomb comes in from Vendetta Beats, and he says, well, okay, I'll raise your 61 months and I'll gift a 5 bomb. I appreciate that very, very much, Vendetta Beats. Paying it forward to 5 people. I just jumped into Morbid Metal and it's really good. I played a demo of it, Jazster, and it didn't feel great. It felt fine. I wanted better, targeting. I wanted it better. It needed to feel tighter. And so that was my main issue. Okay. It's good energy today. Yeah. It felt good. It felt fun. You guys seemed to enjoy it. The interaction felt great. I felt like you guys were able to contribute to the show. A really, really great way to contribute to the show is to use that question command, and that'll almost ensure you to get our attention, which we can't do this during the show. This is too difficult. I've got too many things I'm capturing, but Jack Garland says, what if GTA 6 sucks? I mean, that would be bad. I'm going to give you my really thoughtful answer now. Yeah, that'd be bad if it sucks. I mean, after all this time waiting and all the excitement and all the hype, I think people would be pretty ticked off, It was a good show. Caught it late, but still great. Thank you. 14 days, 12 hours, and 2 minutes till Sorrows. Is it really that close? Oh my gosh. I was wanting to do some Returnal content and streams in anticipation for Sorrows. Also, I kind of want to get my chops back. I get to the point where Returnal isn't difficult. It just is fun for me. I was running Biome 4, 5, and 6 just for fun and not dying and not failing. But there's so many games in between now and then that I'm going to want to play. Mouse PI for Hire. I think I'll put Replace on the back burner because I primarily play on PlayStation anyway. So it's I'll just wait for the PlayStation release there. We'll play it day of, which I believe is tomorrow. And then Pragmata. I don't know what I'm going to do, boys. I don't know what I'm going to do. We are literally, that rubber is hitting the road. Hades 2 is tomorrow. I really wish Hades 2 was co-op. I think my wife and I would love it after all the time we've spent in Sworn. It's such a bummer that Hades 1 and 2 just don't feature any kind of co-op. It probably wouldn't work with how they built the game, but Rockstar's going to struggle to outdo such an amazing character like Trevor from GTA 5. Could we get Discord? Oh, sorry. Yes, I need to figure out. I'm not quite sure how I want to do that. It'll be a dead giveaway. Let's do this. Were you guys getting extra audio just now? What is this? Yeah, you were getting the Discord audio. You're getting the frickin' circus music. I forgot to mute that input. So I'm not quite sure how we can do this, because if I set everything up with the special guest in Discord, I can't be on a stage. I can't do it. And that'll be a giveaway to the Discord boys. Hey, he's not doing the stage today. There must be a special guest. But I can't figure out a way to do it, because I have to get them in a call and get everything cropped and set, because I was doing a lot of back and forth there. I was pulling up trailers and articles so Mag could just talk and I could just have the relevant stuff in front of you guys. I can't do that if I'm on a stage, because I can't be in 2 different things at once with Discord. So I don't know what we're going to do on days like that. I know it's a bummer for people who like to listen in the Discord, but I don't know. Similar to Times 4, could you make a role for them to be in the Discord as a guest? The problem with that, Fuzzy, is that means they'd have to be on the stage and talking before I'm live, and then everybody would get to see. Everybody in the Discord would see what was going on. They could see us talking and preparing for the show. He and I were in a call for probably 20 minutes this morning before we went live so that I could get the crops and kind of get the stage set for the show. So I don't know. Make a private VC channel so we can't see. I don't know. I don't want to overcomplicate it. It was kind of nice doing it all like incognito so you guys had no idea, and then just be like, yeah, sorry, on days like that I can't do a stage. You know? Just kind of the nature of it. We've only got so much we can do with the tech available to us, and I use Discord for the stage. I also use Discord for and Broken Earth comes in and rounds us out to 110. Thank you for the single gifted, Mr. Broken Earth. I appreciate that so much. And we are wanting to have other guests. So listen, if you guys hang out on shows and in different areas of the internet, grease those wheels for us. Say, hey, Reforge Gaming's over there letting people just literally co-host his show. Join him for a morning. It's a good time. I was pretty surprised. We wanted it to be that way. We wanted it to be a surprise. Like, I'm not going to let y'all know when it's going on. Just like, listen, you got to be here every day. You don't want to miss out on those fun surprises. I've got a surprise for you guys tomorrow. And then we got another thing on Wednesday. Like, this week's got a lot going on for Reforge Gaming. So I'll just improve the tools so it's faster and easy for you to set it up. In the future it'll not be it'll just be cropping the cam sources. Yeah, that'll be helpful. Yes. So overall, though, for the first outing, I had a great time and was able to engage with you guys. I was able to engage with like the news feeds as well and bring you guys some breaking news as well. Kino Mansky comes in and renews that plus and gets us to 111. Doc or P-Rock. I've already sent something to Doc. I can send one to Porter Rock as well and say, hey, would love to have you on. We've been reaching out to some folks out there. And wanting to have them on. And now I've got a show. I can show them, like, hey, this was the format that we went with when I had on Mag. And then you can leave whenever it's convenient. If you don't want to stay for 2 hours or 3 hours, you can stay for an hour. Seeing the reviews for Pragmata increased my confidence. I think I'll buy it soon after release. It's looking good, isn't it? I think it's looking very, very good. Very, very promising. And it's looking like GTA 6 is not going to be affected by the leak. So the Shiny Hunters have updated the wording on the Rockstar Games leak on their dark website. Now they state that only metrics data was exposed. Changed to your Snowflake instances metrics data was compromised. Could be nothing, but I'm keeping close eyes. So it seems like they've even changed the phrasing of like what they actually got. I think it's going to shake out to be a nothing burger. Gonna shape out to be an absolute nothing burger. 7 days, 7 drops. So Spine is doing 7 days of drops. Are they gonna give us a release date, man? You got to give us a release date, bro. Spine looks so cool. The hack has been listed as non-material data. Yeah, it seems like it's going to amount to not much. Zubair says, whoever I was talking to about the Sony products being chiplet-based, and I was sure they were, they aren't chiplet-based. You were right. Sorry, I don't remember who I was disagreeing with. I hope soon we see your community grow up to 500,000 subscribers and beyond. Well, I appreciate that, Behemoth. Thank you very much for saying that. One of the best ways to help us grow is just to be here every day, hit the like button, hit subscribe. And honestly, members is a huge benefit because I'm more likely to hit your feed and I'm more likely to for you to see my content if you're a paying member. If you're paying $5 a month to the channel, you're going to be more likely to see my live shows and my uploads. That's a great way to support the channel as well. King Thrash too. We'd have to just have Thrash, filter himself. I didn't even tell Mag to filter himself. I think he just did. But, I'd like it to stay safe for work if possible. Did the mystery podcast you're a part of ever get figured out? It is still hanging in the air. There is good movement, though, and we're going to get some handshakes in the coming days that I think are going to be very beneficial to us. So I'm very hopeful, and I feel good about it. I've got some really good people in my corner now. I've got some really good people in my corner that heard my story and I think have a better understanding of me as a creator, as a person, as a man. And it's just like, in light of everything that's happened to me professionally, I get why people are trepidatious or maybe even standoffish. So I get it. Thrash, it would take me a year to get all the N-words out. He works in the professional corporate world, so I know he can turn that off. There ain't no way he's hopping on business calls and going to business meetings talking like that. I'm fairly certain he could turn it off for me. Any of your old Forbes connections healing? I mean, I highly doubt that S3 plan. I highly doubt that. I think some people will always be closed off to me. I think they have versions of events and versions of me that they'll never really see it any other way. Unfortunately. You know, I think as distance has gone on, if more people looked at the situation and everything with eyes wide open, they would be like, man, that homie got a raw deal, you know, and got really mistreated. So, kindly respond within 72 hours. There's no way this is real. Let me see if this is real. There are so many scams now. Like every time I get an email now, I'm like, this has got to be fake. There's no way that this is real. So we will, what I do now is I just say that I'm interested and then I judge from there. Cause there's now these scams where they're like, oh, we've got a great opportunity for you. And then they send you like a form to fill out, and it's like an executable. It's like a thing to like hack your stuff. You could always do a Friday night for language barrier. Well, no, I wouldn't. I would not want to put somebody on the show that's gonna take us well beyond. Like, I don't mind a swear word here and there. That's not a huge concern. I'm sorry. Okay. No, yeah. Creature, I have a call at 3 today with YouTube as well. So I have a hard out at 3 today. So yeah, I see your DM. We will I'll take care of that. Shane Gill, third super chat of the day, $1.50. Thank you so much, Shane, for the super chats. Guys, thanks for all the likes. We need 30 more likes on the vid. Let's get the likes up, man. Let's do this. Let us do this. Solid day, solid news, so many things going on, and just a great amount of support from you guys. Thank you so much. Invite Dr. Disrespect next. I don't think Doc would give me the time of day, brother. I don't think the Doc would want to come on. And frankly, I don't think I want to have him on, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. Recently, I dove into some info about your situation from 2020, and without naming names, it seems like there's some against you who were projecting. You're all right in my books. There was a significant amount of transference going on, Darth Nihilus. I don't know if they'll ever come out and admit who really did bad stuff, because it wasn't me, but we'll see. That's between them and their own soul and God. I know. I'm not gonna force the issue. I don't think we'd give him the time of day. At least I wouldn't. The only way I would agree to it is if he agreed to like an actual interview as Guy Beam, and I want to ask him about everything that happened and why he, because I was a huge fan and I was extremely disappointed in how he handled the whole thing. Big Fry. I'm talking to Big Fry. He's interested, but he's got a lot going on right now. He got his Discord hacked. So, yeah, he's dealing with some stuff. But Big Fry is interested. So we are excited to have, more and more folks and more collaborative efforts with content. It's a fun way to do this thing out here. That fun thing to do out here in this YouTube world. Hang on 1 second. This is so funny. The way. So Madam and I have been working on. Madam and I have been working on a lot of different things with the Sworn game. We've been working a lot with the Sworn game and trying to roll credits on it. And so we were up a little too late last night playing because we got such a good run. She's like, well, let's just play for a little bit, get the currency, and then we can stop. And we got like one of the best perks you can get early on. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, we're going to bake every room we go into. And sure enough, we did. We absolutely smoked it. It was pretty crazy. You'd like to create some content with me? Spug, I'm not familiar with you. I mean, you've been following me for since May of last year. But I'd have to see what we could create, what we could do if you are in the space. You've been making AAA games. Well, if you've been making AAA games, I'm always down to interview devs, people that are in the industry making games and doing stuff. Could send you a Reddit post. Yeah, you can reach out. The email command should work. Up last night. Smoked it, right? Nova says, my schedule's pretty jacked, but I'll make time to be on the show. I'm assuming you want guests that create long, awkward pauses followed by uneducated statements, right? Yes, Nova, that's what we're looking for. You think Cross would ever jump on a panel with you? I don't know. I don't want to put Astacross in that awkward position. Like, just reaching out, I feel like he'd feel bad, but he'd have to politely decline. I don't want to put him in that position. I just don't. You know what I mean? If anybody is close enough to float it past him, he'd have to initiate that conversation. That would just be really awkward for me to do. Hey, man, you want to come on? He'd be like, you're making me feel really bad right now, bro. But he'd have to say no. His audience would be so furious, and then he'd have to engage in that topic with them. That wouldn't be productive. Worked on Destiny and Concord. Really? Interesting. You could really dish. 24 hours is not enough time in a day for what I need to accomplish in life. That's what I'm saying. So his art station here. You worked on Concord and Destiny 2. Okay, Spug. Okay. Yeah, we could talk. It'd be really interesting to get your perspective. Looks like you've done a lot of like art. Potentially, you've done art for Destiny and Concord. He's too plugged into that community. We don't want the D2 community. Yeah. I can see Cross's chat losing it. He'd have to like hardcore go to bat for me and get factual and like defend me, and I just don't think he's going to be interested in doing that. That's not what he needs in his life right now. That's the only way he would attempt to calm that audience. That audience would be freaking livid. Did they steal your art? No, nobody stole my art. Have a marathon content creator on. It'd be very interesting to have a marathon content creator on. Lots of good and bad, ugly stories. You've been working in the space for 20 years. Shoot me an email. Let's talk. I don't know. Do we have an email command over here? Let's see if we do. There you go. Lono at Reforge Media. We do indeed have an email command. Well, there you go. Yeah, let's talk. We can definitely set something up. I think that'd be fun, especially in light of everything going on right now. The open roles at Bungie are now at 0. It looks like the suspected hiring freeze that I talked about a little while ago looks like it may have indeed happened. Looks like it may have indeed happened. Yo, looking for the State of Play on Thursday. Have they officially announced it? If there's a State of Play Thursday, Thursday's going to be insane. Thursday's going to be freaking insane. There's an Xbox event. It's a first look event early in the day. I'm not seeing any official announcements about the State of Play. I bet you the State of Play is, if the State of Play is Thursday, that'll be a wild, wild day. I don't know if I've ever had an Xbox event and a PlayStation event in the exact same day before in all the years I've been covering. Wreckin' Havoc, I didn't shout this out. Wreckin' Havoc hitting 50 stream streak over there on Twitch. Thank you very, very much. That's very kind of you. Today was much better than looking at marathon charts. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you guys a reason right now to become a member. I like when streams stay under 3 hours and we're approaching 3 hours. It's actually better for the stream. And since we're already kind of seeing folks drift from the show because we're kind of out of things and news to talk about, we're going to head to the green room in the Discord. That's a reason to be a member. Hit join, $5 a month, or become a sub on Twitch. We're going to the green room early because I do have a phone call today, and Creature and I have some stuff to work on as well with some of the stuff that we're trying to work out. So hit join and join us in the Discord. Use that Discord command. All right? See you guys over there.